Hey, we're live here on YouTube for Panels Without Borders. This is my live show that I do every week. No, that's not true. I don't do it every week. I wish I could do it every week. I'd like to get to that rhythm, but it's going to be a while probably. Most of you are probably watching a 30-second unskippable ad. So I'm trying to vamp for time a little bit. That's kind of how YouTube's been working, about a 30-second to a 1-minute unskippable ad up front, unless you're a premium member, which we appreciate. If you are, like I work for YouTube. But yeah, let's see, Kenny the Comic Collector in the chat. What's up? Rob9009, how's it going? So we have a pretty serious topic tonight, and it's not one that's being covered for the first time, but I have been quiet on the topic, and that's mostly because I wanted to make sure that the majority of the facts were out about what's happening here. The biggest thing that I was waiting for to talk about sort of publicly on this is that Bry's Comics was waiting to hear back or get some information to make a follow-up video. And that's happened. So I feel like we can talk about it. So what I'm going to do, hey, Comic Menu, hey, Comic Journey in the house, Chris Naples, and the Butt Naked Truth. I appreciate having the Butt Naked Truth in the house. The Butt Naked Truth and nothing but the Naked Truth. So I will recap what happened, because the first question I get anytime that I start to talk about this stuff is, what are we even talking about? So I'll recap what happened, but I really want to stress something about this. If you watch my show, you know that I'm not here to stir up drama. That doesn't mean I won't talk about topics that create their own drama or that have drama surrounding them. But it's not my intention to make this, something that is a Jerry Springer, let's all, throw chairs at each other and, find out who the father is kind of a thing, right? Like that's not my style. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, there were one or two that definitely knew it was up. EXP holding it down. And I do have some other fun stuff we'll talk about today that isn't dramatic. EXP being one of those things. We're going to talk about something cool they're doing over there on the EXP. But we, first off, I do have to. No, I definitely am the father of this situation. That's true. I definitely do have to start by recapping what happened here. And the situation, if you're not familiar, is that Bry's Comics, which is a gentleman named Brian Gordon, it's on his Instagram profile, did his own exclusive, and he did an exclusive with a mystery box. So the real creme de la creme, the crown jewel of that mystery box was a Del Auto Spider-Man cover. You saw it on the thumbnail. You've seen it posted all over Instagram. I'm going to pull up his Instagram here in a second to show off a couple things. But essentially, this was being billed as the rarest Del Auto at one point by him when he was talking about it. And the real, it's funny. This got overshadowed by some new series of events. But what really happened is, even back on July 21st, and then think about it, it's August 1st. On July 21st, Bry's Comics posted a post with eBay sold listings for his Del Auto that had sales upwards of almost $5,500, almost $6,000. And the post says, "Is this manipulation? Does anyone know how to find out for sure? Someone listed one for sale immediately after it ended for $6K, which had me suspicious. Surely my followers are above manipulating the market, right?" And I will be 100% honest with you. That post stuck out to me. The way I look at the comic collecting community, the YouTube community, all that stuff, that post just stuck out to me. It seemed odd. And I say that because I mentioned that to other people privately. I said, hey, doesn't this post seem kind of weird to you? Now, I was already aware of this comic. And I was already aware of this comic thanks to a friend in the chat here, Comic Journey. Great YouTuber, has his own channel. You can go follow him after the show or on a separate tab or something. He bought one of these mystery boxes, and I came in at the end of one of his streams where he was talking about what he got, and he did his unboxing, and he got one of the 20 virgins. So the way this worked is, how do I explain this? So before I go down that path, I need to point out one thing. The point of me telling you that I want this to be a drama-free experience, I want to talk about the facts of what happened here. There's been some public discourse between Bry's Comics and Brian McClay on Instagram. And I would say, like, I'm friendly with Bry's Comics. I'm friendly with Brian McClay. I'm closer to Brian McClay because I've been on his shows and stuff before, that kind of stuff. But I'm not going to get into that because that is, in my opinion, between them. Brian shared that with everybody, some DMs that were had. It is what it is, but for my purposes here, I'm going to be drama-free when I'm talking about this. But the point I wanted to make is some of that conversation revolved around the fact that Brian sort of after the fact said I should invite Bry on the show. And he reached out to Bry and Bry took some offense at that. I think I'm characterizing that fairly, because he said, well, you went and essentially blasted me and now you're inviting me on the show. So all that aside, I'm not getting into that. I'll explain to what happened because people are going to be curious what I'm talking about, but I'm not going to get into that. That's between them. I will tell you that I invited Bry on the show tonight. And to his credit, I won't go into every single thing he said. That's not the first time I've talked to Bry. I've talked about Bry's Comics, not Brian McClay. It sounds like he would have came on if he thought he had anything new to say. And he even asked, are there any questions that you have that you think I haven't answered yet? And we will definitely get into the reason why I didn't really think that was necessary, but I did think it was necessary to make the offer for him to come on, especially given what had happened recently. But yeah, so I knew about it because this guy, Comic Journey, who's in the chat right now, told us about his slab he got. He got one of the 99 virgins. And so I've been tracking this, and then I think it was a day or two later, I can't remember what the timing was, Bry's Comics made that post, and it just sort of like stuck out to me. So this comic book is selling for thousands on eBay, and these are sold listings. And then to his credit, he did make a video explaining, what he thought was going on here, and with the sales and all that, and some of the communication he had with. Now at this point, there's been so much that's happened since, and I can't remember if it was one of the sellers or one of the buyers, but he shared his DMs with one of those people. So it looked like it was probably real stuff. Yep, you gotta love it, don't you? You gotta love it. Oh, did I say that wrong, Comic Journey? Yeah, there's 20 virgin Delatos. There were 7 9.9s. The other 13 were 9.8s. So I probably did, characterize that wrong. There's a lot of folks in here. I'll try to get to everybody as I can. We are going to be talking about gamma-based comics later in the show. Really important cause. I'm going to talk about them here pretty soon because I want to make sure everybody hears that message. But yeah, it was a couple of the sellers. I think you're right, because we basically confirmed that those were, unless Bry was in cahoots with those sellers, which is the only other option there, they did seem like real sales. So, they have this brand new manufactured scarcity virgin variant exclusive retailer from a YouTuber, and you have drama with checking, CGC's involved. If you're following along with the bingo card, I think the only thing we missed so far is Whatnot. if we could have gotten Whatnot involved in this, or if this had been an acetate cover, holy crap, the internet would have burned down. It would have been absolutely insane, and it already is. And the reason why I really want to approach this like I approached, you know, the it's now been called Acetate Gate, the C2E2 incident, which is to take the drama out of it and just talk about the facts. But it's important to remember that there are people being affected by this, and that's part of what I want to talk about. I'll tell you what I know, and I'll tell you what I can fairly safely theorize. I will also point out that I'm not the first person to talk about this. If you really want to watch a good video that recapped a lot of it, Swagglehouse did a video that dropped either earlier today or yesterday. It was a good video. I know Beyond Wednesdays covered this topic on one of the streams, which is what led to that conversation between Brian McClay and Bryce Comics. What is Acetate Gate? Acetate Gate was a situation at C2E2 last year, not this previous one, but the one before that, where and I was one of the first people to report on that too. If you want to go watch my video, I think White Shadow's video has been taken down. And I did a follow-up live stream where we kind of revealed some of the extra details. There were some influencers, that's such a charged word, in the comic book community that were accused of cutting in line to buy seemingly unlimited copies of a Ultimate Fallout 4 reproduction. I'm the one that broke the story later on that Marvel did not approve that Ultimate Fallout 4 Clayton Crane cover with the acetate. And that was the drama that ensued. And a lot of popular Whatnot sellers and comic book community members became in the spotlight for that, is the nice way to say that, I suppose. So essentially, you know, you get a lot of controversy surrounding this because of all those check boxes that it's hitting. So the important thing I'll say here is I see a lot of vilification going on right now for Bryce Comics. I understand where some of that comes from, but I would urge caution to think through the process here and kind of listen to what I have to say. My point isn't to come on here and completely defend Bryce Comics. That's also not my point. I've had nothing but friendly interactions with the guy, but he has found himself in the center of several controversies. So I understand, you know, kind of how that works. Doesn't mean that he's done anything wrong in this case, but I understand that. But like I said, I reached out to him. He was cordial about everything, and you know, I think between parts of the conversation I had with him and stuff I've talked to about with other people who have done exclusives with Marvel, and you know, like what Swagglehouse said in his video today and his findings, I think we've kind of confirmed enough details here to know that I think the main problem that people have here, which we're going to get to in a second, is probably a little misunderstood. So what is the main problem? Real fast, I am going to share tab here. Give me 1 second here so I can show you all a little bit of what I'm talking about. Let's present that. So this is Bryce Comics Instagram page here. And guys, I'm so sorry if I'm missing something in chat. Let me know. I think we're kind of keeping up with all the requests here. But real fast, this is the cover. I'm not logged in, so I can't look at that. Actually, you know what? I'll log in, and I want you guys to be able to see the comments here. The only thing I don't like about this is you'll kind of see the comments filter to the top of who I follow and stuff. But so you guys all know this is the Del Auto cover that's in question here. And I know it's kind of small, so I'll read you what Bryce Comics wrote, the important parts here. And this was on 5 days ago. So this was 5 days ago. Bryce Comics says, "It has come to my attention that the cover art for my Amazing Spider-Man 26 variant was previously used over a decade ago on foreign products in a foreign market under a different publishing company. I was unaware of this until just recently. As always, honesty, integrity, and transparency are at the core of Bryce Comics and everything we do. I'm working to get answers as to how this happened and why I wasn't aware. I'm hoping to make a video about this soon. There are a lot of questions that still need to be answered, and I want to make sure all the information is correct before commenting on this any further. For now, all I can say is I didn't know, and I'm trying to find out why. Stay tuned. So the situation here is that this comic book cover, this Dell'Otto one right here, was used on the first place I think it was used as a L'Uomo Ragnu, which is an Italian version of Spider-Man cover in 2004. It was used on a art book by Panini as well, and it was used on a German edition of the comic book as well. So it was used 3 times before it was used on this brand new Amazing Spider-Man 26 Marvel comic. And if you're not familiar with the current run of Marvel, Spider-Man 26 right now is the issue that had the death of Miss Marvel in it, which is, you know, already done. So that's an extra layer that kind of has rallied people's attention. Real fast, here's the post with those eBay sales, so I can kind of show that real fast. And the last thing is, not the last thing, but another thing I'll say is, when this came out, I went and watched Bry's video about it, and I made a comment that said you should post the certification numbers for those 20 comic books, because that's part of the problem here is people, when you have something that's artificial scarcity like this, people are going to call into question, is it really limited to 20? You can see on the eBay sales here, I can kind of show you on my mouse, like 16 of 20, 20 of 20. So these were labeled as down to 20 virgin copies. There were more of the trade dress, but there were only 20 of the virgins. So I said you should release those certification numbers. So because all of them were CGC'd in CGC holders. So we know as the market, short of somebody reholdering one of those books, you know, if there's more that are being introduced to the market. And that is kind of the X factor. And to Bry's credit, in the very next post, and I mean, he did this within like 10 minutes of me making that comment, he posted all the certification numbers for those books. There are certain numbers for the Virgin ASM 26s that remain available. You know, he says, thanks to Bronze Age Nerd for suggesting I do this and add more peace of mind and transparency to buyers. So look, I respect that. He took a suggestion from the community and he ran with it. You know what? He very well could be. Like I said, he knew I was doing the show. I talked to him ahead of time. I even let him know that there would be some criticisms of some of his actions in here. And, you know, I was very transparent with Bry. Got Ozzy, Lord of Brooklyn, Real Rude 6, Comics and Tortillas, Size 9. Hi to everybody in the chat. Kingdom of Nerds. I saw you in there earlier. Forgot to say hi. Just want to shout out Xbox Gamer 360. Thanks everybody for popping in and checking this out. So what really happened here is this, I think it was, I don't think he said, so International Comics, which is a guy named Josh, posted that on a Discord that I'm part of, that this was on a L'Uomo Ragno cover in Italy in 2004. And what I'm not sure about, because the way he worded that in a follow-up stream, I don't know if somebody showed him that or if he was the one that went and discovered that. So he points that out in a chat. I think he made a post about it too. Let's see if I can find that. His name is International Comics. I thought he made a post about it, showing it, just to kind of show you the L'Uomo Ragno cover. I'd have to dig around and find it. I don't want to. Oh yeah, here it is. Here it is. I gotta share this tab now. So here's his post. He made, 6 days ago, and you can see that that's the L'Uomo Ragno. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. I've only heard people say it, and I think they were non-Italian native speakers. that came out in 2004. Again, it was a book from Panini. And you know, his comment is you can pick up the original issue from 2004 that used this cover for $5 to $10. Good old foreign comics. So maybe somebody else pointed it out first, but credit where credit is due. You know, he pointed that out to people, and then Bry made that post saying, "Hey, it's been brought to my attention that this is a reused cover." So I reached out to Bry, and I know a few other people did too. I know I'm definitely not the only one. Reached out to Bry, and I know at that time he told me I could say what he said. And I said a lot of people were asking me about the Del Autos. Did you know the cover art was previously used on a foreign comic when you created the exclusive? And he said he did not. He just found out that day. He's trying to get to the bottom of it with Marvel, and he said that he's looking into it. I said, you know, you mind if I share this? He said, yeah, you can tell people I was unaware and I'm looking into it. So yeah, again, you know, to his credit, that's transparency right there. For whatever else you want to say, that's transparency. So what happened is at that point, I thought about covering this. I thought about making a video talking about it, but you know, Beyond Wednesdays had already talked about it. Bry had released that first video. He'd said he was going to do a follow-up video. I think it was the next day or so. Swagglehouse did a video. I said, you know what? No one needs to hear me talk about this. I don't think we need my voice added to this without any new information. And personally, I wanted to hear what Bry had to find out from Marvel. Well, Bry released his follow-up video that basically went over the situation again. And he disclosed the most important thing here. And the reason that he's still catching a lot of heat is, you know, kind of two questions, right? Like, did you know? Can you prove you didn't know? That kind of topic is one of them. And you know, what did Marvel say? And here's what I'll tell you. I know from but talking to other people that do Marvel exclusives. I know from other conversations I've had that are relevant to this, that you are under NDA when you start having those conversations with Marvel. And you cannot share the details that are part of the negotiation or the correspondence and the emails that are back and forth with Marvel. So hypothetically, let's say that Brian could prove that he didn't know about the cover having been originally used somewhere else, because this is the scenario. This is the scenario. If I'm me, let's say if I'm me and I feel like it's my time to do an exclusive, and I contact Marvel, first of all, they're probably going to tell me to pound sand because I'm not that big of a channel. Let's be honest. Unless I wave a wad of money in front of them. And I know people that are surprising individuals that have done exclusives with Marvel because they've been able to pay enough money to get. It's more expensive, I think, if you're an unknown. And what they'll basically do is they'll say, here's a list of artists we have. You know, you're interested in doing a cover for Amazing Spider-Man 35. I don't know. I'm just making something up, right? Here's a list of artists we have that have covers that, you know, could do a cover for that. And you'd see, you know, Art Germ or whoever on that list. And of course, those artists are going to have different prices associated. The negotiations, you're going to start from that. But that's how it's going to work. You're going to be shown a list of artists. You don't go out and find the artist and say, you know, well, hey, my buddy Gabriel Dell'Otto, I want to do a cover with him on Spider-Man 35, and you know, we're going to go ahead and make that cover, and you know, I'm going to tell Gabriel Dell'Otto, like, this, I want Spider-Man up against a wall. That sounded dirty. I want Spider-Man stuck to a wall, like it's cracking, coming out, you know, describing this cover that we just looked at. That's not how it works. Now, that can work that way, perhaps in extraordinary circumstances, and perhaps in Definitely with different publishers. An Image, a Boom, those are going to be completely different situations. But with Marvel, that's the way it works. And I knew that before this situation from talking to other people. Now, maybe if you're a bigger shop and a bigger, it's possible to have different arrangements with Marvel. That could very well be the case. With Bry at the level that I think he's at, based on what I know, and other people that are kind of in that same wheelhouse, I know that have done this kind of work, that's going to be the situation. Is he probably said, Delato's available. Let's start talking about that. And at that point, I'm pretty sure what happened is that he was shown the artwork and said, that looks badass. Let's use that. And then probably negotiated the price and the print run and all that stuff too. That I have really high confidence that that's what happened here. I personally don't believe that he was aware of this. And there's people that say, well, of course he was aware of it. All you had to do is do a reverse Google search. And that's been pointed out now a couple times. International Comics, who was the one that, at least popularly, said this was a reused cover, said, hey, I tried putting this through reverse image search and it didn't come up. Like, it wasn't easy to find. It wasn't like this, because I've seen that comment a lot. He didn't do his research. He didn't do his due diligence to figure out if this was a used cover. But if I went to Marvel and I started this process, my first thought when they show me a cover wouldn't be, well, has that ever been used before? What we don't know is, did he, specifically ask for a cover that was never used? Was he misinformed by Marvel? And, maybe now we're speculating, right? Just to be 100% clear. For all we know, Marvel, just didn't consider that because they don't consider an international edition to be the same as a domestic comic. That could be possible. Also, in his follow-up video, Bryce pointed out that there was another comic that this had happened with before him. And maybe a little funny here because he said, like, I don't know who did it. That one I did find out really fast by looking who did it. It was a Spectral Comics, and I can't remember what the comic was, but it was a Spider-Man comic. And sure enough, it had an international. This was Delato, yeah. Sorry, I'm kind of just looking over at chat. I probably missed some stuff. Depending on when that's why I didn't go and run that test, because depending on when that came out, this image is now out there so much that it's possible it could come up. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is, like, wouldn't you make that assumption too if you were working with Marvel? And you're saying you want like a new comic book to be done, and I would probably make that assumption, and maybe I would go look for it just to see. But right, that's kind of where I'm at. And look, people can have different opinions about whether or not that's the case. Some people will believe that. Some people will believe the other way. And it's not for me to say. I'll say that much. Like, I'll tell you what my gut feeling is on it. But all the conversation around this centers around a few things. One of them is was he lying about the scarcity of the comic? And look, he released the certification numbers on the 20 that were sent to CGC. He didn't have to do that. I thought that was a really cool, transparent move. Of course, like I mentioned myself, there are ways around that, like reholdering the books or whatever. I know one person already commented when I commented on his YouTube video that they were reholdering their book because it got cracked. But I mean, that's still pretty good. The other thing too is that the way that Bryce Comics did this is he had CGC. He sent the entire print run of Virgins to CGC, and he requested 9/8 or better out of the Virgins for the 20. And so they took 9/8 or better and they destroyed the rest of the print run. Now, everybody has a problem with, not everybody. A lot of people have a problem with the way CGC does that, and they don't show the video, and da 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 da. I get all that. I'm not saying that, that's part of the problem here. Is this is a layer cake of things that are hot button issues in the community right now. Like I said earlier, you add in Whatnot, you add in well, what did I say? Acetate. You would have the bingo card, because it covers exclusives. It covers manufactured scarcity, destroying rest of print runs, a YouTuber. It covers all these things. Variant covers, mystery boxes. So the part that I will come in and say, okay, I'm being nice to the guy, right? And I'm telling you that you should really consider, before you like roast somebody and get out the pitchforks, you should consider the facts of the situation, or what they probably are, is that he probably has proof that backs up his story on this, but he can't release it. He's under a contract, an NDA agreement. So he would basically be burning his future bridge with Marvel to release any of those details. And potentially be in, breach of contract, depending on what their terms are on that NDA. Well, I mean, I said a YouTuber. I the whole influencer thing to me is a bullshit term, to be honest, CJ. That is, influencer is a term that people can set at whatever level they want to, but like when I think of influencers, I think of like Kim Kardashian and Logan Paul. I don't think about anybody at Gem Ment's level, or Comic Tom, or Bryce Comics, or you or me. Like I mean, technically, sure, but we influence people, but that's not where that term comes from, in my opinion. Everybody's free to have their own opinion of that. But where I will say that mistakes were made here is, when you have a history of controversy, you have to be very careful how you approach things. Like I think it was Mark. Let me go back and see if I can find it. This comment: has Bry offered refunds on the mystery boxes? Things like that are a good question to ask. Sorry, I had somebody pop into the backstage here. So things like that are a good question to ask. And I understand where you're coming from. I'm not even necessarily saying that he has to do something like that, but you have to approach this very carefully if you're in this position. You have to have respect to who your community is. And you, in your own mind, you influence yourself all the time, CJ. And I understand. Okay, that's a good point. Xbox Gamer says, well, what if Marvel lied to him? Why would he ever want to work with them? Burn the bridges. Think about, if you're in comic books and you love Marvel Comics, Bry is a young enough guy. He's going to never work with Marvel again for the next few decades, ever, over this. I mean, maybe they did something to make it right on the back end. I don't have any inside information of this. I can only imagine that one of those things he might have done is say, hey, I really need to release that I asked about, this being an original cover. And if they gave him the runaround or said no, he's kind of in, a tight spot about that. Let's read this comment. For the workforce drowning, people truly need to relax about this. As normal, the loudest people are not the customers who actually bought these, but particular people that we see thriving on negativity in this community. That's a really good point. And that's, part of the reason that I was really not skeptical, hesitant to do any content on this is along those lines. There's there's secondary concerns here for sure. And people that are affected by this, whether they bought the comic, whether they were involved in an aftermarket sale for it, or something like that, then there's reasons for those people to talk about it for sure. I would like to talk about the secondary concerns, the exclusives, the manufactured scarcity, the reuse of covers. Yeah, and that to answer the question, right? He has not offered refunds. It feels like Brian's going to be walking on eggshells for a bit. Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely going to be true either way. I don't think Marvel cares enough to lie. Well, I'm not saying they're. I don't know if it was in response to somebody else. Maybe I'm not saying they're lying. I'm just saying that they don't want to comment on stuff like this. Like, this is small potatoes to them. And if their NDA says you don't talk about it, and he's asked like, "Hey, can I talk about the details of this?" and they say no, you're under NDA, you're stuck. There's not much you can do there. Hey, what's up, Swag? And again, by the way, shout out to Swag, who did a great job covering this. Another part of the reason that I decided not to make a full production video on this, but I did want to talk about it on the stream because of the secondary effects that we have. That are going to be stemming from this and the effect it has on the community. So I'm going to bring in a guest at this point real fast. After I'm going to read Swag's comment here because I did just talk about him here. Small minds discuss people, average minds discuss events, great minds discuss ideas. It is worth discussing this issue, but the greater story is really about Marvel's relationship to the collector. And that is fantastically and well put, Swaghouse, and that is something that we definitely need to talk about. But I am going to bring in my guest because it's somebody that you know and love. If you've been following me over on the EXP, let's bring in my co-host on that show, Kyle. Kyle, welcome to the show. You are live here on YouTube on the Bronze Age Nerd channel. Welcome in, welcome in.
I was watching at home in my easy chair, and I'm like, wait, he's talking about Marvel doing shenanigans with custom covers. I have insight. I better drive to the office, join him, because
and reboot their Wi-Fi.
The kind of life I have.
Okay,
it's true.
You kind of froze there for a minute.
I also, I also. Oh, are we good now?
Am
I unfroze?
It's a bit like you're streaming on Real Player in 1997. While you look into that,
not
real
even
fast,
on Wi-Fi.
Well, then
I'm wired in.
Wired? Good Lord.
Yes.
All right. Well, while Kyle tries to figure that out for a second, yeah, I mean, I absolutely think that that Swag's right about that, and sounds like Kyle might have a comment here in a second about that as well. But when it comes to Marvel, there have been issues around this too. You know, you may as well add them into the bingo card that we talked about earlier at the top of the show. They're just an extra layer of controversy that's surrounding this. I mean, think about the issue that this happened in. This happened in ASM 26, which is the death of Miss Marvel, which itself is controversial for a number of reasons. Okay, we're going to see if Kyle is... you're looking crispier already. I said that, and then there we go.
Yeah, I had to just refresh the page. Really?
No, I think you're good.
Okay.
Yeah,
so I did a custom cover with Marvel a number of years ago.
Okay.
Can we good? Okay. So
yeah,
I did a custom cover with Arvell Jones, the creator of Misty Knight. We did a reprint of the first appearance of Misty Knight. And here's the insight I have. Marvel doesn't often use logic or reason when it comes to doing these things. So my guess is that no one at Marvel looked to see that piece of art had been used before. And therefore sold it to the guy as an unused piece of art. And then somebody went, oh no, we screwed the pooch on that one. And there's a whole bunch of problems because of it. When I did my original with Arvell, my custom cover with Arvell, they wanted to use Gil Kane cover art. because a book with Arvell Jones's name in the trade dress across the top, Marvel's greatest creators, Arvell Jones, was not. They wanted to put Gil Kane art on the cover. They don't always use logic. It's true. I am, Nick. Maybe if the experience paid for my fiber line, this wouldn't happen. Heyo. But no, it just they don't always use logic, and so they tried to con me into buying that 3,000 of this book with the wrong guy's art on the cover, trying to tell me that it was Arvell's art. I'm going, no, that's Gil Kane. And it took me calling and talking to Joe Quesada personally to get it fixed.
Wow.
Like this, it's entirely possible that everyone here is in the dark about the reality of the situation, because whoever's job it was to pick the art at Marvel just said, yeah, this is a piece that we've never published here, without ever looking to see did Panini or somebody else publish it. And again, it happens all the time with them.
Yep.
So.
And this is another little point I want to talk about here. Comic Journey says, regardless of poor relationship with Marvel and its customers, Bry should not even be making claims of it being the rarest of all Delautos. That was his assumption, not fact. Now, look, here's something I've seen talked about too, where it's like, if you're operating from the assumption of hindsight here, because he didn't know at the time. So you're right, he made an assumption, but that assumption was also most likely, from my deduction on this and from what other people have told me that have been in this situation, he thought he was probably using an original cover. So if you make it a 1 of 20, that would be the rarest. Now, I believe there is a Delato 1 of 1 out there. I think that I've seen that pointed out by somebody. So I guess, technically that would be the rarest. And people are definitely caught up on that. And I can understand why. But to me, that's a much more simple mistake that just kind of gets, again, it's added to this layer cake situation. And the problem is, if you add up enough layers, pretty much everybody has a reason to have an issue with this because they don't like exclusives or, all the things we've talked about during the entire show. So that's where a lot of this comes in is everybody kind of has their angle on it. Now, Comic Journey's a little bit different. He bought one of these mystery boxes. He has one of the 20. So that is, a definitely unique perspective, and I would want to give that some voice because he's one of the people who's directly affected by this. Why not just, only 500 in the world. Why not just say in the universe? Totally. It is one of those things where the exclusive angle of this is a problematic thing for a lot of people in the hobby. They don't like manufactured scarcity. They don't like destroying all the extra copies of a book, but it is part of comic books, and it has been for a very long time. Now, talking about Marvel and their responsibility to things, I would really like to see them change their print run policy, because them requiring a print run of 3,000, there's a lot of people that don't like the idea of destroying that many paper books. Kyle bowed out for a second, I think due to internet reasons. There's a lot of people that don't like the idea of destroying that many paper copies of a book. They don't like the idea of destroying literature. And that is a real concern that I understand. Hopefully those other pages are being recycled. In some cases they can't be. And if it's Marvel saying, like, we want to have the money from that many print runs, just increase the price of the run. The consumer is going to pay it anyway. The consumer, in this case being the retailer, is going to pay for it anyway. The person that is requesting the exclusive. That is a real problem too, is that Marvel is requiring these print runs of 3,000. A 3,000 print run really doesn't mean much. That's not that limited in today's comic book collectible market. There are, print runs of 20. There are print runs of 100. Those are certainly limited. If it's an important key comic book that a lot of people care about, having, like 200 or less would be extremely impressive. But even having 1,000 or less isn't really that crazy these days. So, no, CJ, I think you're misunderstanding my point. it's not the hindsight of the day he made it on a live stream. I'm talking about when he requested the book. That's probably already in his mind that it was the rare style auto. Again, right or not, which I think he's wrong in that case. Yes, it look, it is, but it absolutely is part of the scenario we have in the market today. We absolutely have these situations where people want that scarcity, and props to the publishers out there that allow you to print less of a comic book, print to order. Look, I'm a big believer. I really want comic books that are numbered to be numbered. I want them printed on the raw book. I don't care if there's damages and you have to go back and print it. I've heard the excuses, extra cost, blah, blah, blah. It's BS. Comic books have been able to do this several times throughout history. It's not impossible to print the number on the book. If you're doing a print run of 500, I want a print run of 500. I want that numbered on the book, like either with an insert that gets, stapled in like the cards used to, or there's some books, I think it's actually Panini that does this in Europe, where they hand number. They have a space, space out of 100, and they will hand number them. By the way, CGC will give those blue labels because that's how those books were manufactured. So the writing on the cover, the way it's numbered, doesn't actually affect the CGC grade, which I know is a concern people would bring up. Swag says, the problem is I think dealers prefer this. A lot easier to sell 100 books for $100 than 1,000 books for $10. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think that's true too. Yes, thank you for the number there. It was ASM 17. Is the other comic by Delato that people were wondering if it was previously used on a Panini sticker book. Yeah, there we go. Yep, exactly. The JTC negative space ones that were numbered. The Campbell variant printed the sequence number on the actual book. Yeah, it's definitely doable, even by Marvel. Now, those are probably done by a different printer. Like a lot of people don't understand this, that printers, like this gets brought up too. How are there 799s? I never get a 99 on my pre-screens. Well, okay, let's address that for a second, because that's another aspect of this. You have 1,000 copies of the books going to CGC. They're hand picking 20 of those copies to be encapsulated. So they're finding the best of the best, or at least they're looking for at least a 9.8, right? And on top of that, these were most likely, I don't know this for sure, but they most likely were not printed through the regular Marvel printer. They're printed through, usually these exclusives are printed through one of the other smaller printers that can usually deliver better quality. And that's why you will see a lot of different exclusives get higher grades or not have the same terrible, no cover Marvel quality, the wavy paper you see because the ink's warping the paper, all that stuff. That's coming from the actual Marvel printers that they use. Yes, exactly. When you have 500 books to choose from. Oh, hey, cool. Comic Toby has that sticker book. That's awesome. Matthew says, Billy at Economics and Comics said that the publishers will print extra books for the creators' employees, which make the print run. So that is true specifically of Image. That is, Image employees can request a certain number of copies. I forget off the top of my head what it is. And then there are comp agreements with certain creators. It depends a lot on the publisher. It depends on the creator. It can really vary. But yeah, he talked about that because of the Ryan Brown, Charles Soule, 8 Billion Genies thing that happened, where they were selling exclusives from other retailers at their table because they were able to request extra copies through Image. And that's something that's always been possible in Image. They specifically ordered extra. They paid for them and everything. It's just that not everybody was aware that they were able to do that at Image. I think CGC should stay away from offering to destroy copies to create the exclusivity. They're a grading company. Keep doing what you promote yourself to be. This is a really good discussion to have. That's a really good point. That's the kind of thing that we might cover over on the Devil's Advocates, actually. It's the kind of thing we talk about over there. Nick Brucci says, isn't part of CGC grading looking at the entire run and seeing what makes the books perfect? That's why Marvel chipping becomes more acceptable. Yeah, so theoretically, and that's something that for the Hotshot Comics thing, I've asked Matt Nelson and Harshan Patel, who are the president and vice president at CGC, and a few others. I've been trying to get one of them on the show to answer some questions in regards to the Hotshot situation that I covered. Unfortunately, nobody's gotten back to me from CGC yet, which is really unfortunate because I have a lot of customers that are they're reaching out to me from Hotshot that were affected by that haven't been able to get their claim form from Hotshot Comics. And I really would like somebody from CGC to get a hold of me so I can get the contact information over to those people, so that they can have their books claimed that are sitting over at CGC. But that's a question I'd love to ask somebody from CGC, because theoretically, they take known defects into account for a book. I've wondered about that though, because let's say you're a retailer and you want to immediately get some 9/8 out into the hands of your customers, out for sale, right? Terrible example because I don't think it had any known defects, but Spider-Man 7, Spider-Boy, right? You're like, oh man, this is a big book. I'm going to send some in immediately to CGC. Well, the very first copies that come across CGC's desk, if the graders look at it and they're like, oh, well, these have a spine tick, or they have a, what did you say? You said chipping, the waviness, whatever known defect, right? Bindery tears. So we're going to mark them down. Well, throughout the day, that same grader sees 100 of these copies or 50 of these copies or whatever, and starts to notice this pattern. Huh. Makes a note. Every copy of Spider-Man 7 should be marked down because they all seem to have this defect. Well, what about those first ones that got graded, that they first looked at? Do they pull those back and start, looking at those again? No, I mean, there's clearly something weird going on there. But yeah, it's a great point. Another thing too, we're talking about Marvel and their follow-up. I have to be careful how I tell the story because it was in a private conversation and I don't want to share that person's identity. But I know somebody who, if I name dropped him, everybody would be like, oh, shoot. But I'm not going to. I know somebody who's a pretty big figure in the industry that was talking to Marvel. And they said, what I'd really like to do is reprint Black Panther 3. I'd like to do a reprint of Black Panther 3. And this, this is the first appearance of Tosin. And Marvel looked at him, the rep from Marvel, and they said, this is like a high up executive, somebody that's involved in like the MCU stuff and the comic book side of things. And they said, why would you want to do that? Who cares about that book? And this, now nobody cares about this book, but this was like at the height of when everybody cared about Tosin and all that stuff. And they were like, it's a really hot comic book. Like everybody is all over it right now. Like people think it's really cool. I'd like to do, a reprint of it with like a special cover, and I won't go into the details of what they said, right? And Marvel was just like clueless. So when Kyle's on here and he's saying, the execs at Marvel sometimes don't understand, that's the kind of stuff that we're talking about. Like they're a huge company. Like we see this stuff and as fans, as collectors, and we're all over it, right? Like, people in here are at different levels in the chat of like understanding about every single situation that is involved in this. But almost all of us look at it and go, wait a minute, there's something going on there. There's an aspect of this that I understand what's going on. And somebody at Marvel, you could explain this whole situation to them or show them this video and they'd be like, huh? What's the big deal? And that kind of stuff happens all the time. Oh my gosh. Is CJ trying to sell the book here again? Lack of accountability is the biggest issue. Each party is passing the buck along and pointing fingers elsewhere. Bride of Marvel, Marvel to the Italian handlers, the handlers at Delato, etc. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean, I have a strong suspicion that it lies with Marvel, or yeah, kind of somewhere in that chain you're talking about there, towards the middle, probably. But yeah, Kamikaze said, CJ, I'll give you 10K for your book, which is pretty hilarious. I want 10 gazillion now, Ozzy. This kind of controversy is priceless. I won't blow up your spot, CJ, but I don't think it's that priceless, or else somebody would have bought it by now. So when that happens, it's up to the consumer to resubmit. But that's where it gets silly. Like, if CGC has discovered that there is a print run wide affecting error on a comic book, and they have given you a lower grade, then they should be reholdering that with the correct grade on them. Because that to me, like, people pay a lot of money to CGC for these things, and to not have these kinds of issues, it's just, to me, it's unacceptable to ask the consumer to pay for that. Especially when, yeah. Anyways, I'm not going to get too much onto that topic, but yeah, it's something that is really frustrating to me when it comes to CGC. You know, it's one of those things that I like to talk about. 1 second here. So one thing I wanted to mention about, since we do have Nick Barucci in here, and we're talking about the EXP a little bit. No, yeah, for sure. I understand, Nick. But one thing I wanted to talk about real fast before we get to some more of the news. This is a big deal to me. If you guys aren't familiar, I'm a featured guest over on the EXP. I've been helping set up their Discord server. I'm co-hosting with Kyle on the Devil's Advocates. And the EXP did something really awesome. They crossed over 2,000 subscribers, which is a really awesome deal. I want to give them a round of applause. I don't want to wake up my whole family, or else I would do it for real. This is about as animated as I can get. This is my excited face. But one of the things they're doing is they're giving away, as part of a celebration that's going to be announced really soon here on their channel, they're going to be giving away slabs. They're going to be giving away some really cool slabs. On the Devil's Advocates, we are going to be giving away a Catwoman 80th anniversary super spectacular 100-page giant in a CGC 9.8. So those comics are giveaway comics. Like I said, there's 20 of them. There's going to be some other cool stuff coming. There's going to be a really cool event that's an anniversary related event coming up real soon that some of you might be able to figure out. And yeah, as Nick said, the giveaway starts Sunday. So kind of really, you know, some cross promotion. I'm over on that show, over on that channel. Really consider going and checking out the EXP. It's really a cool place. You know, Nick has his original art show on Fridays. It's extremely popular. They just did an interview with Sarah Frazetta over on the channel that was really cool too. Oh, we're at 21 now. So 21 slab giveaways. So really awesome. Really, you know, it's a lot of great comic content that covers, like, you know, things like books that just came out and recaps, really cool sales, like claim sales, like Mint Hunter does sales over there. Bueller has helped out with some of the Dynamic Forces stuff. So definitely go check it out. Yeah, all the giveaways are going to be all week long next week, and there's a really cool thing coming up. Just want to make sure I caught up on all the chat there. So yeah, some pretty cool stuff there. The other thing I want to talk about, while I have your ear, I know you guys all want to hear about the drama. Like I said, it's going to be a drama-free zone, but you want to hear about that. The other thing is, I have 2 links in chat, and those links are related to a really cool thing that's happening right now. So I've been friends with a guy named Scott Tucky, who is part of Gamma Base Outpost, which is a comic book selling group over on Facebook, and gotten really close to the guy. Unfortunately, his wife has been dealing with a ton of medical problems. Her name is Belle, and she's been really through the ringer recently. It's been pretty tough. You can imagine that when you're dealing with somebody who's had things like strokes, and they're in rehabs and different kinds of centers to take care of themselves. Yeah, sorry, Gamma Based Comics. I'll highlight the comment right here. There are 2 links in chat right now. One of the links is to go check out their group. If you guys would go follow them, that would be awesome. What they did for us is they sent in a bunch of really cool comics that I'm going to give some of them away tonight, but we have some really nice ratios here. These are all supplied by Gamma-based comics. Some of these are 1 in 100s. I'll give away 4 of these tonight, and we'll give away 4 next month. But I just wanted to show you what they sent in. Some really cool stuff. So we're giving these away tonight. Some of these, half of these. Really, really nice stuff. So they're doing that. And this is, I think, a 1 in 25. Though it's not a 1 in 100, but that's for that Void Rivals. Been really popular. Did I miss any there? Just make sure. So we're going to give away half of those. And thanks to Gamma-based Comics for doing that. But the other thing they're doing in collaboration with Big Time Collectibles, actually, I think Big Time Collectibles is just doing this, is they are doing a, I'm going to pull up the site so I can show you the cover. It's a really nice cover, too. I just like the cover. They're donating all their proceeds from one of their exclusives to her medical costs. See if I can bring it up here. It's from one of the World Tree comics. BTC exclusives. Apologies, I should have had this brought up before the show. The irony of this is that I can't access my description on my YouTube channel right here. Okay, I've got it here. Let's share the screen so you guys can see this. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous cover. This is World Tree number 2. It's the Mel Milton negative space second print variant, and it's for Belle Tucky. So right here, it's a 500 print run. Proceeds go to our good friend Mary Yang Belle Tucky to help for paying hospital bills and treatments. Thank you for all your support. If you think it's a cool cover, if you want to help out somebody who's a really awesome member of the community, I have the link for that in the chat right now. I think I can actually drop it in. Drop it in right there. So I just wanted to mention that because these people have been really awesome to me and the channel. He's one of our premium members, and I think it's a really good cause. So go check it out. Go check it out if you want to. So, oh, that's awesome. Somebody just ordered it. I think it's a gorgeous cover. Like, can't go wrong with that. So those are the 2 kind of like promotional type things I want to talk about. Let me see which of these 2 we should give away here. I got to look at my list of what these are because they're all virgins, and that always confuses me. But I know Scott sent me what they are. So, oh, that's the wrong chat. Okay, so this is, let's see. We've got the Avengers. The Power Girls just came out, so I think it'd be cool to give away the Power Girls. So I think, boy, which one's the Lotte and which one is the Taj Tenfold? Well, anyways, we're going to give away both Power Girls. One of these is a 1 in 25 Lotte, and one of these is a 1 in 50 Taj Tenfold variant. I think that's the 1 in 50, if I'm not mistaken. Really cool cover there. My glare is going to make it hard to show. But we'll give away both of those. And then let's give away one of the 1 in 100s. What do you think? Night Terrors is huge. Let's do this Night Terrors. This is a 1 in 25 by Alan Qua. Cool cover. We'll give away that one. And then let's give away this. I think this is Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy number 1. It's the Alex Ross Timeless 1 in 100 Doctor Doom. So those are going to be giveaways for our channel members. I'm going to do my July channel member drawing here, and those will be your giveaways. So you get the 1 in 100. the 1 in 25, and then both Power Girls. I am so sorry. I don't know. I don't recognize which one's the Lotte and which one's the Taj Tenfold. I'm pretty sure that the one with her with the sunglasses is the Taj Tenfold. But so yeah, huge shout out to them for doing that. We're gonna give those away. Oh yeah, that's a good point. It probably is on the barcode. Was I right? Was I right? Well, what I would need to read that is better glasses. I'm sure you're right, but I would need better glasses for that. Something I am planning on doing. Scott. Nick Brucci from Dynamite is going to put up a piece of commission cover art on his Friday show with the money going to your friend. So that is awesome. Thanks a lot, Nick. That's really awesome. Like, I don't want to dive too deep into the personal side of this, but following along on his Facebook, like him trying to run his business, he's taking care of customers. He's doing a really awesome job. Checking out like their claim sales and stuff they do over there on their channel. That's not on their Facebook page. It's really fun. It's infectious. I can see why people enjoy it. Well, I don't want to get into the nitty gritty, but what I will say is just the number of times he's had a post about her going to the hospital, about just the kind of anxiety that you can expect from that happening over and over and over again. The stress, it sucks, and I feel for him. So I'm glad we're able to help him out. Okay, thanks. Lotte is the one. Okay, so that's Lotte. Yeah, so I was right. The Tenfold is the one with the sunglasses. That's the one I thought I recognized. So thanks a lot, Michael. Yeah, that is extremely nice of you, Nick. I really appreciate that. So yeah, there's a couple things going on that are. It's weird to say positive when I just told you how serious that situation is, but it is positive in the fact that we're trying to do something for him and for Belle, and it's positive that the EXP is doing their giveaways too. So something to check out for sure. What the problem is, every time I buy new shoes, somebody is taking stuff without paying from the store, and they take as much as they can carry. I don't know where that came from, Comic Toby, but I'm just trying to figure it out. Okay, so he talked about it a little bit here too. My wife had 2 strokes in a matter of 24 hours in 2018. She had another major stroke in April. I just, to be able to do anything to help him makes a big difference to me, and the generosity of some of you folks who went over and checked out the exclusive. Again, the link for the exclusive from Big Time Collectibles is in the chat. So I'm going to get set up for the drawing for the channel members. In the meantime, we've got 69 folks here in the chat. Nice. I will definitely talk about other aspects of this Bry's comic situation, other stuff going on in the comic book world. While I pull up my list of my channel members to run that giveaway, please feel free to post in chat what you're curious about. Any elements of this you think that we need to talk about still. I am more than happy to discuss. This is a little different than what I was planning on doing normally for the show, but I just felt like the right time and place to talk about it. Yeah, exactly. That's a good point, Chris. Musk versus Zuck comic book is on fire. Is that a real comic book? Oh shit! There is the Andrew Tate comic book. Is that real? The real Hellfire Gala Party or the comic book? Because I haven't read the new one yet. Yeah, the $100 Tate comic book is, which I need to run that through like some AI generation software. I'm pretty sure that's an AI cover too. And like from what I heard, you had to disclose a bunch of personal information to sign up for it. I heard that on Immortal Biggie Shack, who was in here earlier. I'm sorry if I didn't highlight any of your comments, Biggie Shack. You were talking about the drama a little bit, but I was on his stream, and I think Beckerman was talking about having to give out a bunch of personal information to, well, you know, it depends on what you have to say. What do you got to say? Do you want to come on and talk about it, Journey? Oh, well, I'm sorry. Did we round up on you? And did nobody give you a bag either? The most important lesson here is don't sell mystery boxes from Journey. Don't sell mystery boxes from Journey. Two Journey. There we go. I was confused for a second there, Biggie Shack. This is Kyle, by the way, talking. Who was on earlier. I appreciate him coming on and sharing that. I'm sorry the internet situation was terrible. Maybe they just know when your peak hours are and they just shut it down when you're not there. Where's my list here? That's weird. Should be in there. There it is. Okay. Just got to make sure we don't have any new channel members first before I do the drawing. So how this works, guys, is if you are a channel member of mine, you're eligible to win prizes, like the drawing I'm about to do. We've got Rob's Fat Stacks in there. I think he's our last channel member. Okay, so we're good to go on that. I just need to mark out which one of you guys are $10 a month members, because you get an extra prize that I will tack on if you win. Star said, Buddy, and Chris. Okay. So let me share my screen here. Thank you, Davy Claire. I'm sorry if I pronounced that Davy Clar, maybe. Appreciate that. So let's give away some comics here. So we're on random.org. I have everybody entered in the list here. Real quick shout out to everybody on here. The people with the asterisk after the name are the $10 a month members. I'll send them a slab or something if one of them wins, something worth some money, besides the prizes donated from Gamma Base. X11 Bravo, Comic Journey, Tex, who's not actually a member here on YouTube, but he just doesn't want to give Google money because he's from Texas. I don't know what to say. Gamma Base Comics, we talked about them earlier, right? Starset Comics, Buddy McKinley, Chris Naples, and then we have all of our regular members who I appreciate their support: DC Irish, Preston, Chester, Collector P, Jack B, Tomb, Cody, Shigeyuki, Matt268, Malverde Designs, Shadow Rat, Sonia Preto, Darren, Phil, a Comic Bookworm, Paul Pittman, William J, and Rob's Fat Stacks O Comics. So we're going to give that away for everybody here right now. Again, the books are these 4 that I showed, and we'll give away the other 4 next month with some extra books thrown in, 2 probably. Huge shout out to Gamma Base Comics for this. I'm going to randomize this list 3 times, and the person at the top is the winner. There's 1 time, 2 times, and here is the 3rd time. Person on the top in the number 1 spot is the winner, and that is Shigeyuki Kikita. Shigeyuki Kikita, you are a standard member, so you win all 4 of these books. I don't think you've won before. So what I will need from you, I don't think you're in my Discord either. So I will need your address. This is always kind of that fun time, but here's what you won. Just to confirm that, we got the 1 in 50 Power Girl, the 1 in 25 Power Girl. You guys all know I love Power Girl. The Guardians of the Galaxy 1 in 100 Alex Ross Timeless, and the 1 in 25 Qua Night Terrors Joker, which is an awesome set of prizes. So yeah, let me know what your shipping information is. I'll ship that stuff out to you as soon as I can. Congratulations. Yeah, it's always a bit of a problem. Yeah, big shout out to the Bronze Brigade. By the way, I've officially decided to call you guys all the Bronze Brigade. I hope you're cool with that. While I'm waiting for any more questions to come through chat, I'll show off some recent pickups. CJ, you were welcome to come on if you wanted to, brother. You know, I know you said you had a lot to say. I'll extend you that courtesy. I did pick up 2 more books from my list of 10 comic books that I'm buying this year. First one is Giant Size Chillers. Do the best what I can with the glare here. Giant Size Chillers. It's a low grade copy. You can see like the warping there. I didn't really want a high end copy. I wanted to get into Bronze Age horror from Marvel. I have some Giant Size Dracula books. Yeah, I'll send you the link, brother. Let's get CJ in here so he can yak at us for 20 minutes. I'll send it through IG. He says we're ignoring him, and he is one of the people affected by this, so we'll give him his moment in the spotlight here. There you go. Thank you, man. Yeah, I feel like I have been killing it. I appreciate that. So that was one book I picked up. And then I'll show off the original art I got recently. Because a lot of you might not have seen that video. I did get 2 original pieces from a couple Brazilian artists. Got this Rogue. And add CJ in here in 1 second. He just popped into the chat. We finished showing off my stuff so we can give you your full attention. And that Red Monica piece. This is by Edson Ike. And the other one was by, oh my God, I blanked on the name. They're 2 Brazilian artists. I posted on my Facebook if you want to go check it out. Hey, what's up, Comic Journey?
Hey, thanks for having me on.
I just came up with a bonus prize for my channel member, Shigeyuki. So I got one of these acrylic Lady Death figures in the last Kickstarter, but mine came slightly broken. And I think you could fix it with some glue, but they sent me a replacement anyway. So I've got an extra one here. The little piece right there is broken, and it has the stand and everything. I'll send you that too, and you know, I'm sure you could glue it. So that's a nice little bonus prize for you, man. Just found that in my pile of stuff here. Shout out to Coffin for replacing the broken one. And then show off my last little thing I got, which is my big book that I released yesterday, is a Hulk 340. That's crossed off the list. It was a newsstand, and it's in a 9.0, really bright, clean copy of that. So yeah, been making good progress on the list. Okay, we got Comic Journey in the house. He has been polite and waited for his turn to speak. I appreciate that. Everyone, if you're not familiar with Comic Journey, he does have a YouTube channel. He does really cool Insomniac late night streams. I don't have a link in the chat, but I'll probably try to add that after the video. You can search for him on YouTube as well. Comic Journey, welcome to the show.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. You know, I figured I'd give my 2 cents about this subject because, like some people said in the chat, that most of the people talking about it aren't even affected. So I'll talk about it. I've been talking about it. I freaking unboxed the mystery box live on my channel. Yeah. So you saw my reaction when I first got it. This was before any of the controversy came out. So I had a very WTF moment when I received it, because not only did I receive that, I got another exclusive of his in the box, which wasn't claimed. He didn't make it clear that he was only putting his exclusives in the box. You know, I thought I was going to get something older and one of his exclusives, but hey, yeah. that all goes out the window. You know, we're not gonna rehash that. But
that reminds me of when I ordered a Torpedo mystery box. It was supposed to have a Jock G.I. Joe variant in it, and all it had was the Jock G.I. Joe variant in it. I was like, how is that a mystery box?
Not much of a mystery.
Yeah.
The mystery was, will it actually be in the box? You actually got one. There you go.
Yeah. Maybe it was a mystery, like you were either going to get a virgin or a trade. I don't know. I got a virgin, so.
Well, I got a virgin too.
You did. You got a 9.9 virgin.
Yay me. And apparently, it's the rarest Delato ever in history.
By the way, for those that did not watch Comic Journey stream, he also was upset about this. That's worth noting. You weren't happy that that's what you got, right?
Before the controversy.
Right, exactly.
Because I don't like this crap. Like like I question the authenticity of the scarcity from the get-go. And like I do often on my channel, I will purchase mystery boxes randomly, just to keep people on their toes. Let's see if they're blowing smoke up the community's butts, or they're basically trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
So, as far as Bry's concerned, as you reached out to him, I reached out to him as well.
Yep.
He politely denied me an interview, same way he kind of did the same with you, only after a mutual friend of ours, mine and Bry's, a mutual friend. I'm not Bry's friend, but we have a mutual friend, kind of nudged him and said, listen, you need to answer his DMs because he's going to freaking go nuclear on you, because I was DMing him and I wasn't getting a response.
Right.
So that mutual friend was very wise to actually intervene and actually have him respond to me. So I feel that the lack of accountability is the biggest issue. I think that's a major, big issue. Like everybody's, I feel like the Bry's apology video was not really that apologetic. I felt there was a woe is me kind of a attitude, a defiance kind of attitude, and it's a sorry, not sorry attitude about it. It's kind of pointing the finger. Well, Marvel kind of did this, and maybe Marvel got screwed by the handlers, by the Italian handlers. The Italians did it to us, and maybe Delato tricked the handlers, or maybe the printer tricked them. It's like every time you go down the line and go to somebody else, there's another person or another entity or group that they're going to point the fingers. How about we say we screwed up? I didn't hear once in that video saying I should not have said that it was the rarest Delato. I didn't hear that once.
Fair. That's fair.
Instead, it was saying I got tricked. Well, yes, maybe you did get tricked. Maybe you didn't. There's no way for anybody to prove or to believe or not believe you. However, throughout the entire video, I did not hear one time, not one time, did I hear him say, I misspoke. I should not have said that. I had no proof of saying that. I assumed it, but it was not true. And you know what happens when you assume things, right?
Yeah, you make an as out of you and assume.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's honestly, that's my gripe. That's my biggest gripe out of everything. I also did message him directly on one of his videos before any of the controversy came out, and I stated to him, I believe I said that to you as well, so you saw what the conversation was like. It went along the lines of, I don't know what the hell I have in my hands. I don't even know how to price it. What would you do with this? And he said comfortably, $750 and over. You should price it at. So at that point, he's still assuming it's the rarest Delato out there. And that was only the day before the controversy happened. So, like, there's a lot of things that are going on in that situation where he's speaking out of both sides of his mouth. Obviously, he's trying to cover himself because he doesn't want to get, like, really bad PR. Who knows what else could happen? He's in a situation where he has an NDA with Marvel. However, we also don't know what the contract with Marvel says. Maybe in the contract it says they can reuse art.
Yeah, we don't know.
We don't know that.
I mean, it's important to point that out.
And if that's the case, if they say we can reuse it, we have the right to, then it's on you for not reading your contract. It's completely on you. And I do believe from conversations with other people, again, I don't have documentation in front of me to give you physical proof, but it's come to my understanding, and it's become a little clear with me that in that verbiage, it does have some kind of verbiage stating that it may or may not have been used in another publication.
That's interesting. I definitely haven't seen anything like that, but I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I just haven't seen
So
it.
I'm listen again. I don't have it in my hand. I'm only going off of he said, she said, same way you are, and off that. But I am going off of very reliable sources, people that have done things with Marvel in the past, people that do make these exclusives on a very consistent basis. So I'm just saying, if they're telling me that this is the case, then why would I not believe them? Because they've never turned around and said that there's the rarest one out of every one. And I don't like this whole manufactured scarcity situation. It makes no sense. Listen, 3,000 is still a low print run of an issue. It doesn't matter if they're making 500, 3,000. If you have 100 people that make 500 print runs of a book, or you have 10 of them that do 3,000 print runs, what the hell is the difference? What's the difference? There's no difference. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1 was a 3,000 print run. I think that was pretty damn scarce. I think that's pretty damn rare. So what's the difference now? Difference now is you got a million other exclusives going on at the same time. So it doesn't matter how many issues of that one specific cover and that one specific art piece that's put on there, because in the big universe of that issue, there's so many different variations. It doesn't matter.
The demand for TMNT is roughly 1 million times greater than this ASM 26. So I mean,
but it wasn't the day it came out.
No, there's not. But I mean, what's your point then again?
My point is, you don't never know what one of these books is going to hit. That'll become the next big key.
Right. No. Yeah, I hear you.
That's my point that I'm trying to make.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Although I think
but you'll never see somebody say that 3,000 run is a big run for TMNT. They'll always say it's a small run. So why is a run today of 3,000 considered a big run?
Well, because the odds of a comic from today surviving are much higher. Even from back when TMNT came out, the odds were a little bit lower, especially for a book that wasn't, a known comic book at the time.
Correct. People used to beat the hell out of their comics and that kind of thing. I get that.
Especially with the 20 that we're talking about, that are all slabbed. Like those things are, unless the fire happens, or
the 20 that are slabbed. But I'm saying out of the 500 that he destroyed the rest of the. Like, why would it have made a big difference if there was 500 or 20? It wouldn't have made that big difference. Think about it. How big of a difference would it have made? As far as the scarcity, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of the same issue with different covers. It's not scarce. The cover is scarce. That's what that's what people are like making a big issue about. So I'm just a little bit. I'm perturbed. I'm annoyed with the whole situation. I still feel that somebody needs to take account, be a man, and freaking be accountable for themselves, and say, you know what, I screwed up. And you know what? Maybe people will respect them more for doing that. That's all I'm saying. Maybe I'm on an island by myself. Maybe I'm the only one that's thinking this way. Maybe I'm outrageous and I'm too old school.
The thing that I will say, and I told Bri this in our DMs, that I was going to be critical of some of what happened here as well. This is where I'll be critical. By the way, Bronze Age Nerd does not endorse smoking. Just throwing that out there. I gotta give my my general warning as I see you pulling out a smoke.
You want me not to smoke on your stream? I won't smoke.
You are welcome to, sir. I just had to make a joke about it first.
Just making sure, because I know. Listen, this is your channel, your rules.
No. I appreciate it. You're very polite. I appreciate that.
On my channel, I'll smoke my ass off. In your channel, I'll be respectful.
No. Yeah, feel free, sir. Just
I do
we're
not.
in a late enough time slot that if your children are up watching this, they have bigger problems.
And I also endorse everybody that's watching me. Do the opposite of what I do. Do as I say. Don't do as I do.
Right.
How's that sound? All right.
There's perfect. Everybody's free to make their own choices. I'm just being an ass. When it comes to this kind of the latest wave of this that I hadn't really talked about much is this. He calls it a controversy response, ASM 26 controversy response, apology video, whatever you want to call it. The next wave of the controversy is, and I'm not saying this is my opinion. The general response I'm seeing is, well, he didn't seem apologetic enough. He didn't seem remorseful enough. He didn't seem, insert,
I didn't say any of that.
I'm not saying, I'm saying the general vibe, the general reaction I'm seeing in the video is kind of what I'm paraphrasing there. And I think that's interesting. And I think what it speaks to is that if you are involved in something like this, you really have to be careful how you respond to it, because first of all, no matter what you do, people are still going to be upset. But also, like what you did say is, like he made sure to try to, blame Marvel and make sure you try to take the blame off himself. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Right. So if that seems to be the point of the video more than, expressing sorrow, people are going to be upset. Again, I don't really, in my personal opinion, from this incident, from what I think happened, from what I can see, from what he's done to try to be transparent about it, I don't really have an issue with anything he's done personally. But that's not the point. The point is more, what kind of things can we do to prevent this from happening again? And what have we learned from this? And it's like I said, I don't know if you agree with the analogy I made earlier, but you end up with that layer cake of controversy here, where every little aspect of this, from the fact it was a mystery box to it was an exclusive, like everybody has a bone to pick with some part of this. And that to me is like where you come up with that kind of perfect storm where everybody's going to have an opinion.
Okay, let's leave it like this. Okay, when somebody that makes something, whether it's a radio, whether it's a laptop, whether it's a phone, whether it's anything, a widget, and they make it and it's defective, what do they usually do?
Well, it really depends. You say usually, but normally what you'll see from a reputable company is that they will
from a reputable company.
Yeah.
What do? They
usually warranty the product to replace it if it's damaged.
Usually they recall it. Yep. Or warranty it. Now, in my opinion, based on the promises and on what Bryce said, he has a defective product. Am I wrong about that, or am I correct? Based on the way it was sold and based on the way it was presented, it is defective.
Defective, I think that's a little too simplistic to describe what happened.
I think it's clear. Either it is or it isn't.
Depending on the contract he had with Marvel, he might have been deceived. That might be his case.
That's not the consumer's issue. The consumer's issue is what was warranted by him, not what was dealt with him in Marvel. What he proclaimed and what he had agreed with Marvel is two different things.
Yeah.
Now, and the other thing that perturbs me and irks me is he was playing with those manipulation posts on IG.
Yep, I agree with that too. Like I mentioned at the top of the show, I don't know if you were here for that.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, that struck me as in look, I'll pull back the curtain a little bit. You're one of the people I messaged when I saw that post. I was like, isn't this kind of weird?
Very weird.
Yeah.
And it's almost like you're poking fun at the consumers that were duped in to buying your product. am I being naive, or am I being a little bit too taking it too personal? I just think you're poking at the wrong like you're poking the bear. You're basically poking fun out of your own customers that bought this, thinking that it was not going to be a manipulation of market. However, clearly it is.
Well, but at the same time, you know, what I did pick up from his video is, you know, the sense of, I'm going to make sure this doesn't happen again. And that's a part of accountability that's important in a situation like this. Like what you're talking about, if I was a customer of his, I'm not, you are, I understand that, but I'm just talking about, like, I'm imagining any other person, you know, that I've bought a comic from that's an exclusive said this, had this situation happen. I would, that's one of the things I would need to hear is, you know, I made this mistake. I'm going to do my best to make sure this never happens again. And it, you know, like anything, people make mistakes. And if they don't correct those mistakes, that is when you have a serious problem.
It's not even being right now in his situation. Can he really correct it in any way? Even if you recalled it, even if you gave credits back to people, even if he gave them their money back, whatever the case is, he's not going to be able to correct the situation. What will correct it is if he turns around and becomes a man and freaking is accountable for his thing. It says, you know what? I screwed up. I screwed up. I should not have said those things. Those are the words that need to come out of his mouth.
Well, and I think
I'm a human being, and I screwed up.
That's where I'm talking about when it comes to when I say that almost nothing can be done in this current situation that he's in that is going to make everybody happy.
Absolutely not. Nothing's going to make everybody happy.
So where you draw that line, the nuance, the level of what he has to say to make it okay with you, again, you know, I give your opinion a little bit more weight because you were literally one of the people affected by this because you bought one of those boxes. But I think that it becomes a real slippery slope for how, you know, what does the apology need to be? And that's why I said earlier, I think if you do something like this and you mess up and you do go on a, you know, quote unquote apology tour, so to speak, you have to really consider what you want your message to be and what you want people to get out of what you're saying. I personally do think that it's important to own up to mistakes, and as a consumer, I will sit back and watch all of these things unfold and make my own decisions accordingly in the future. But at the same time, it's like what has to be good enough for each person is something that everybody has to decide on their own.
Honest question.
So Swag asks, are comic collectors just spoiled for thinking the books variants we buy should be able to give us equity, or should the expectation be that we're paying for a product and that's it? That's a good question, Swag. I think correct me if I'm wrong, CJ, but where you might go with this depends on what it's marketed as. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, there's a different approach for different kind of situation. I mean, I'm not a big fan of variants to start with. However, I do understand that they are a necessary thing for the way the market is today, in order to keep the momentum of collecting going for the new books. Variants are a big portion, because as long as you have people that are buying them, that means they're going to keep making them. Doesn't mean I have to like them. Doesn't mean you have to like them. You might be the guy that buys every single variant that exists and every single exclusive that exists, and that's your prerogative. I don't like them personally because it takes away a lot. I would prefer, instead of allowing 100 people to make variants, exclusives on a book, to charge more to 10 people every issue if they want to make a variant, and make those make them more special.
I will go so far as to say, Swag, to go back to your question to me kind of cuts at the literal heart of the common conflict that I see in the comic book collecting community these days, because there is this very polarizing set of beliefs that comics need to be purchased because you love them, or comics need to be purchased because you're looking to invest in them or speculate or flip. And I am very much simplifying that discussion, but it's something I see literally every day as part of this community. When I log into social media and see people talking about comic books, the discussion of, oh, I can't believe blah, blah, blah is doing this because gross, blah, blah, blah. Or, you know, hey, I just picked up this comic book that I love and I'm proud to show it off. And, you know, yeah, it's my grail, you know, that kind of thing, right? Like, and to me, a big part of the problem is that there's a lot of tension between those two sides. And one of the things that I try to talk about on this channel through various ways is how a lot of collectors seem to forget that they're really more of both of those types of people. And it's a spectrum. You might fall more on one side than the other. But most of us, I think this is very safe to say, most of us love collecting certain comic books and trying to complete our grails or our runs, or you know, reclaim nostalgia from our childhood, or collect an artist we like, or all those different types of collecting, right? But pretty much all of us also think about the value of comic books every once in a while, at least, because I can tell you, like, if as a kid, why was I putting my comic books in bags and boards when I was reading them? Yeah, to keep them in good shape, but also in the back of my head, oh, you know, you want to make sure it's in good shape later when it's worth a lot of money. I don't think I like actually thought that, but I certainly was like subconsciously thinking that, because you'd see like
everybody's cognizant of that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like
cognizant of that.
Like I'd love to say, you know, the Overstreet Price Guide has been around for 50 years. 50 years. Putting value to comic books is not some new thing that's come up over the last 10 years. And, you know, you can't just blame Whatnot and influencers and stuff for you know, trying to make comics valuable. It was happening in the 90s. It was happening in the 80s. It was happening in the 70s. The scale and forms that's taken have changed, of course, but it's continued to happen. And
I mean, listen, who's the biggest influencer historically in the comic situation? It's the LCSs. When they see a hot book and they pull all the new issues off because it's a hot book, they pull them off the shelf to show that it's empty, to artificially show that it's sold out, so they could sell it triple the price the next week. That's been happening since the 80s, and people don't get that.
By the way, chat, you guys are on fire. You're bringing in some really, really good questions and comments, and I really appreciate it.
And I think it's really important, Chris, for me to make a point of everybody to understand this. Yes, I do have skin in the game because of the situation, and literally, I'm being very transparent. I could literally sell this book right this minute. I could accept an offer where I'll make all my money back, and then some. I'll make some money on top of it, and I'll be made whole. I can't do that. But sometimes it's not only about doing that. Sometimes now I'm kind of like, now I got the controversial book. It's almost like I got that acetate shitty book. It's like I got something that nobody else has and everybody hates. I like to have those things. You know, the error cover. I like to have those things. So now I'm in the mindset where maybe I won't sell it, or unless somebody blows my socks off. But so it's not even about the money at this for this thing. It's just about the principle of how it's been approached.
There's so many great comments, and I'm listening to you, CJ, but I do want to
at the same time.
I have to circle back to this one from the EXP, which I'm sure is Kyle driving the steering wheel back there. Overstreet is 50 years old and only just made an app. It's a mess. Stay tuned, by the way. I've been talking to the Overstreet guys, so we're working on something now. Interview coming soon. Let's put it that way. So, anyways, the buyer beware and mystery boxes thing. I want to ask you this, CJ. You bought that mystery box, and this is a little bit of a loaded question because I know the answer, or at least stuff you've said in the past that's going to lead me to expect a certain answer from you. isn't this kind of the best case scenario for what you wanted when you bought that mystery box?
Nope.
It's not?
No.
Don't you buy those mystery boxes because you want to see like if they're worth
The
it?
best case scenario is get Amazing Fantasy 15 or
like you would have got the Grail out of it. But I mean, like, besides getting the grand prize and literally getting your monetary value out of it, to the point of what makes you initially want to buy these mystery boxes and kind of review them on your channel, isn't this kind of like striking gold in some ways?
Kind of. If I was the kind of guy that like to like really push these things, and like if I did more of a channel like yours, yeah, this would have been gold for me, because I would have been running it for 2 weeks and every day updates like I'm freaking CNN, basically, Brightgate. We would have done the Brightgate scandal. But that's not the type of channel I am. I do reviews. I usually either applaud them for making a good box. I'm kind of indifferent because it's kind of a box, or I shit all over them and then we go on to the next one. That's basically the protocol of how it works.
Well, and by the way, what you just said there and kind of it's sort of what makes me want, like you talk about if you're a channel like mine. I really want to reiterate the point here. Part of the point of me doing this stream is I want to just really remind people that at the other end of this controversy, there's a human being. And whether you agree with what happened here, whether or not you think he made mistakes, some of the comments that I've seen already are getting a little on the nasty side. Whether that's warranted or not, because you were affected, that all these things come into play. I just want to take a second to point that out. Like, I can understand being upset, especially if there was money involved and you're in that situation. And I'm not speaking directly to CJ here, even though he's somebody who could have that opinion.
Let's be clear. I never said anything directly on the guy's humanity or whatever the case is.
Of course, but the point is that is happening out there, and that's part of what kind of put me over the edge for like even wanting to talk about this. And again, I think it's important to talk about the merits of the situation, about the facts of the situation, and to continue following it. Like if there's another major development in this, we learn more one way or the other, or new information comes to light, that's fine. But I see this community want to pick up pitchforks way too often.
Let's just go back to your original question, and then we'll get into everything. You said if this was going to be the best case scenario, or this is kind of what I was expecting for it to happen. Okay, so when it was presented, obviously you want to get the grand prizes. Those are the ones that you're gunning for, and that's the gamble. You want to get the grand prize. So
well, hold up. Let's make. So it was an AF-15, right?
AF-15. There was Amazing Spider-Man, number one. There was a giant size one. There was McFarlane signing SM300. Okay. I believe it had that shitty previews thing that's worth $1 gazillion of Miles Morales. But it's worth $1 million, so whatever, like a gazillion. You know what I'm talking about. And there was some other ones. There was like 6 really solid books. I believe 6 or 8. But that goes without. But I looked at it like this. All right, as a consolation prize, if I don't get those boxes, I'm looking at it from this perspective. I'm going to get 2 slabs in there. He didn't say that both slabs were going to be exclusives in there. It kind of make it was going to be a mixed bag. In other words, you're going to get one like regular book that's slabbed, and then one exclusive book, which would be the Delato book. That's kind of the way he wrapped it up. And he did present it to be as the rarest Delato piece. So, as a buyer, I'm like, all right, worst case scenario, I don't get any of the mystery, which I didn't expect it, but it would have been a fun unboxing if I did, because I do them live, so it would have been a good reaction. I would have been able to get a rare book, supposedly a rare book with a cool cover on there, and then some other book that I may or may not be able to keep in my collection because it fit in there or not. But instead, I got 2. I got the rarest Delato book, not only the rare one. I got the rarest one, and I got another exclusive book of his. which to me, that's not what I wanted. That's not what I was looking for in the box. Again, shame on me because I should have sent them a DM saying, "Hey, is the second book guaranteed to be something other than your exclusive?" I shouldn't have to ask that because it kind of was presented that it was going to be the way, but I should have. Now that I'm looking in hindsight, okay. But hey, that's on me, you know. But once we got to the point where this book is no longer the rarest, it was publicized years ago, and who knows where else it was. But if you think 19 years ago it was used somewhere else. They're going to discover this within a month or two. We're going to find that it was put on freaking stickers in Africa or something. I don't know. Like we're going to find out. I'm just saying, like, it, you know, it wouldn't shock me. So that's my point. That's the issue. You know, I do stuff like this. I take gambles all the time with these boxes. It's called a gamble.
Yeah.
However, it's a calculated gamble based on the information that you're giving to us. Right.
And I, you know, I'm not trying to like call you out or anything here, sir. I think I know I'm familiar with the channel. A lot of people watching probably aren't, and I know, having seen you talk about some of your unboxings and some of the thought processes behind why you pick them up, you know, and your curiosity could even be just like how they package their stuff. I mean, I've seen you kind of talk about all these things.
Yep.
You could even, I think at some point you've even kind of referred to it as almost like market research for when you sell comics, that kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. And all that factors into it. But I'm just saying, like, in a way, I feel like it's probably has to feel a little bit like, holy crap, I bought one of those things that everybody's talking about too. Like, there has to be some of that kind of.
I mean, you saw my live reaction. Yeah. I'm like, hey, if I'm gonna get the freaking, if I'm gonna get one of the two, it might as well be this one, I guess. You know, I said it. It might as well be this one because it's the rarest freaking Delato ever.
Bye, Nick. Thanks for popping in the show. I appreciate the support, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Go check out the EXP for their giveaways that are coming out next week too. Yeah,
is that going to be the rarest Catwoman 80 anniversary thing? I just want to make sure before I enter the giveaway for free. I want to make sure.
I am not advertising it as such.
Because you know.
I want to address Norin Rad's comment here real fast, and then somebody else asked about where's this book sitting, and we will take a quick look at where it's sitting on the market. I'll pull up.
How do you know?
How do I know what?
No, he says I like Bry. I know he didn't have ill intent. How do you know?
Well, you're saying, yeah, this is kind of something you're talking about fact versus perception of fact, right?
Yeah, I mean, how well do you know him, Norin? Are you like buddies with him? Do you guys go have lunch together every day? Do you hang out? Do you live in his building? Do you work in his shop? How do you know him?
But that part of it aside, at least he confronted the issue with the video. He didn't fully ignore it. And I really want to point this out because there's been a lot of comparisons between this and the C2E2 incident last year, which I also covered. This is kind of, you know, people are calling this like the acetate gate 2023. That's a comment I've seen several times, even in this stream. And here's what I want to say.
That's only because there hasn't been any real drama this year. So this is the biggest drama we have.
Totally. But here's the salient point I want to make about this is, do you all remember how big of a deal it was when Jim Mint made his video after C2E2 and how he literally got torn down for weeks for basically coming out? And I'm going to paraphrase, essentially saying, you know, you hating on me for doing this, you know, don't hate the player, hate the game. I'm out here hustling, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And the reaction and coming out and like defending your actions in that way versus what Bry did. Again, I've seen a lot of criticisms already about Bry's latest video. I will say that it's at least a different tone than what you saw last year with
yeah, but you know, I give Jim Mint credit for that. He doubled down on it. He didn't shy away from it.
I don't give Jim credit for that, to be honest with you, because I
think he doubled down on it. He showed us his intent. He showed us his true feelings about it. Whether you like them or not, that's a different story. Whether you're okay with it or not is a different story. But he didn't go and point the finger to anybody else.
And is that video still up?
No, he didn't, because he got shit on left and right.
Right.
So did Nerdy Girl.
So I would agree with your point if he stood by that video, left it up, and said, "That's how I fucking feel about it." But he took it down, and so he didn't really double down. He actually backed up from that stance.
True, I stand corrected. You're right.
But I really, my point here is not to shit on Gem Mint either. I have complicated feelings about that situation and him making that video. I think it's totally okay to come out and say that, by the way. It's okay to do that. But I also, I have to kind of close the circle. If I had seen him be apologetic in that video as well, like he's, coming out and saying like, this is how I am, this is what I do. I'm seeing that you guys don't like that, and I'm gonna look into it, or I'm gonna change it. Which, by the way, when he took it down, that's kind of the comment he made. So I do give him a little credit for that, but it was a little too little too late kind of a thing with him. But my point is, when this situation, you at least have Bry coming out, trying to be much more transparent, much more maybe not completely transparent to the degree people want, but at least you are seeing more of a explanation. You're seeing more of him talking through the process. Again, like I requested, he posted the certification numbers. He's tried to respond to requests that people have put before him. I know you sound like you had a hard time getting a hold of him.
He had no choice but confronting it. He had no choice.
You're right.
But to address it. If he did, he's running a business.
Yeah.
He's running a business. If he absolutely ignored it and pretended like it wasn't happening or didn't even address it publicly, he would have been demolished. So as a smart business move, he needed to listen. I understand that. He needed to actually go on and address it. What the message was that he was going to relay, that was up to him. But he needed to confront it and make almost like when something happens, people put out a statement. That's basically what he did. He put out a statement on it. But that's only days after. That's only days after he was poking at it and making fun of manipulation going on. You understand the whole scenario, and that's where the accountability comes in place. He was poking holes in there, that kind of thing, and all of a sudden, the whole thing blew up in his face. He thought it was funny, and it ended up not being funny. I bet you thought I was going to come in here ranting, didn't you?
No.
I thought you thought I was going to come in, go ballistic, just start screaming and banging and throwing things all over the place. I came like a civilized human being, and I'm talking rationally, right?
No, 100%. CJ, I know you better than that. I wouldn't invite you on if I thought you were going to give in to hysterics. GTK asked the question, may I ask your point here? So if a seller doubles down, what he did earlier was acceptable? I'll let you answer that one.
I didn't say it's acceptable. It's more respectable. It's respectable on his end as far as owning up to it. There's a different approach.
It's a good point. They'll break right away if you do that. Yeah, don't throw your CGC slabs.
Actually, I just broke one by accident. Anyway.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And now I'm either going to have to give it away or sell it for $10 or reholster because it's only worth $40. I'm like, you son of a bitch. Now what am I going to do with this thing?
78 points. The short answer is Marvel almost certainly won't say anything, and Bry is covered. Well, not covered, but Bry is under an NDA, so he can't say from his situation. Now, there's been some down the pipe kind of talks about Delato and his handlers, and something could come from them. Maybe I could see them commenting on it. Also, I could see them not commenting on it, to be honest. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. I mean, it's impossible to say. Although,
I'm almost sure I saw a statement from Delato somewhere. I think on
I've
IG or
heard
Twitter.
that, and I've yet to see it. I've heard other people say that, and I've yet to see it. So
I know I saw something somewhere. I don't remember where. I have to go digging where I found it. And it was along the lines where, what the hell? What's the big deal? It wasn't on a comic book. It was along those lines.
you can't go to the guy's hairline. Come on. Yeah. So what I'll say is, based on my knowledge of it, I have extremely good reason to believe that Bry was unaware the cover art was reuse. It's all I can really say, comfortably, but I have pretty good cause to believe that. And whether or not Marvel knew is a much different question. Probably I think it's usually easier to assume that ignorance is at play rather than ill intent. So it's a really good possibility that one hand didn't know what the other hand was doing, kind of a thing. But we don't know the answer. That's what I'll say. So it was an Instagram post.
Okay, so I got to go looking back.
Yeah.
And there was somebody asking something about what I'm planning on doing with it. Let me see who the hell was.
This one?
Okay. So here's the thing. This is why this whole situation, it has me morally conflicted. Okay? That's why I'm kind of annoyed too. Part of me just wants to get rid of it. Like before all this controversy was, my mindset was, I'm getting rid of this thing. Whoever wants to pay me crazy amounts of money for it, that's their prerogative. Give me a good offer, I'll take it, kind of a thing. That was my mentality on it. Now this controversy comes out. So now I know that I have a defective product in my hands. Can I, through my own personal principles and stuff like that, accept an enormous amount of money for something that I feel is worthless in my mind? That's a problem for me. There's another part of me that says I want to keep it because I like to have controversial things in my collection. Like if I had one of those acetate covers, I didn't pay, and obviously I didn't pay a lot of money for it, I would have kept it in my collection just because I'm like, I could just parade it around and make fun of it. But like, you get what I'm saying? Like, but then again, now because of this controversy, now it could be worth more money. So what does that mean now? I'm in a weird position right now that I don't know what I want to do with it. I put it up on eBay at a ridiculous amount of money just to play around with what offers I'm going to get. I assure you, I have not accepted anybody's offer because I'm just playing around with it.
I also haven't accepted CJ's offer he sent me for it either, by the way. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, but you get my moral dilemma right now as far as what to do with this. If this didn't come up, this Delato situation didn't come up, and somebody wanted to pay me $4,000 or $5,000, $10,000 for it, like they were playing before, hey, that's on you. You want to pay some ridiculous amount of money for a Delato book? That's on you.
Okay, speaking of which, we kind of were asked this earlier, where the market's at on this book. So I'll show this real fast. The search term here is Spider-Man 26 Delato CGC. I could just look at the 9.9s, but I think it's gonna be interesting to kind of take in the trade dresses and the virgins as well as the 9.8s and all that stuff. So the 10 of the trade dress, which were limited to 480 of this 500 total for this book. 20 were the virgins, 480 were the trade dress. Sold for $863 2 days ago on an auction. That's a 10. Again, that's a trade dress, which isn't one of the super limited ones. 9.8 for less than 300. A 9.9, again, trade dress for 525. So I'll scroll down. Let's find our first virgin here. Okay, so here's the last one, and that's that July 22nd sale. It's a 9.8, sold for $5,100. So unless I didn't pull it up somehow on my search terms, which man, if you listed this book and you don't have that stuff in your search terms, I don't know. I can't help you. But that was one of the ones that we tracked early on. I mean, that was back when this all kind of first became a big deal that he started posting about and made his market manipulation post. So really, and then here's the other big one, the 3,000. Again, those are 9/8. So yeah, we don't really know where the 9/9 virgins.
And that's the point. If somebody turns around and offers me 10 grand for it, I'm like, wow, that's a lot of money. And I'm going to be stuck at a point. Is it the right thing to do to take this money or not take it? I'm kind of thinking maybe I should, but maybe I won't. Now with the situation, there's no way I get. But you never know. There's some nut that might actually be willing to take it for that much money.
Yeah.
And I tell everybody, if you think this thing is worth a lot of money, you're nuts.
Yeah. So Reef the Sea Forever. The last sale on here is July 30th for the trade. The Virgin was the last one I just pulled up, was the 22nd. For the Workforce Drowning, so the Virgins aren't selling at listed prices or aren't being listed. There are listings for the Virgin. Can guarantee you of that. But I mean, they're listed and people are asking crazy amounts of money. Some of them we might know. But
somebody, I don't know, somebody,
some guy. I mean, if you want to look,
Swaggle says I should take the money, so maybe I should take the money. And if anybody throws me any kind of like craziness, like that I screwed the market, I'm gonna say Swaggle said to do it, so we'll be okay. I could point the finger like other people at somebody else. I didn't say to take it. Somebody else told me to.
So just because the point's coming up here, so I'll show you the listings for the Virgins. Again, these are people, they're just asking. 9/9 16,927. 9/8 for 5,500. By the way, you know what? When you get above 5K,
wait, hold on a second. Is that a line through the 18,000?
A line?
Oh, I thought I saw a line going through the 18,000 for some reason.
No. No. You're really concerned about that one, aren't you?
No, it's my screen. I don't know why.
But yeah, so right now, you got 2 9/9s listed and 1 9/8. So that's kind of the current situation. Hopefully that answers the question for the person that was wondering. And I'm sure there are other people that are wondering too. Yep. Yeah, there is. I mean, is that ASM 627? What number is that?
That's what he was comparing it to.
Yeah,
he was comparing it to that book. How do you compare it to that book?
I don't. That's the. So when you talk about the rarest thing, I think that's where this comes from. I think he was inspired by that variant, and he was trying to say this is even more rare than that. I think that's really what I mean. Yeah, he didn't say it the right way,
but that wasn't even. But that wasn't an exclusive even. That
no,
was actually a regular run.
It was an incentive cover.
Yeah.
But it was a notoriously hard to find incentive cover too. I think there's like 25 9/8s on the census or something like that.
But it wasn't manipulated through the market. It wasn't anything. It was part of the run.
Well, you say it wasn't, but we don't know if it was or wasn't. I mean, it's possible it could be. It probably wasn't, but
theoretically, if there's incentive and it's 1 for 50, 125, 1 for 100, 1 for 1,000, whatever the case is, or 1 for store, you have to go by those ratios. Now, are there excess copies floating around? Probably, just like everything else. It might be in a Walmart pack. Who knows?
Exactly. Oh my God! Could you imagine?
If I
had a heart attack.
Yeah, that's the only thing we need now. We need this book to show up in a freaking Walmart pack. If that happens, hell is gonna break loose.
Barbarian's telling you that if you're not going to sell it, go ahead and donate to him so his ASM collection can be complete. Holy crap! So you're Barbarian Kung Fu. You're collecting even like the new series ASMs and all the variants. Dear God, but you're gonna go broke, man. I mean, collect what you want. I'm not trying to yuck your yum here, man. If that's what you want to do, I'm just surprised.
A lot of freaking books.
Yeah. 667. That's what it was.
I could understand if it was still ongoing legacy with all the breaks and all the new freaking ASMs. It drives me nuts.
Good point, Kyle. It was manipulated, but by Marvel math. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So, do you have anything else about this, CJ, that you're hoping to address, or that you wanted to get out there for people, or?
This is the message I'm going to give to everybody, okay? And I'm saying this like almost like a PSA, that kind of thing, because I know that there's people that pay outrageous amounts of money for exclusives and for variants, and I know that some of them take off. I know that some of them, but there's a lot more that don't take off and actually fold in price than the ones that actually go to the moon.
Yeah.
If you really love collecting the exclusives and that kind of thing, you don't need to go buy it the first day. You don't need to go chasing it based on somebody's hype and somebody's hysteria of how much it's worth, and the artificial and the manipulated scarcity. Sooner or later, the market tapers off, the prices level off, and you'll be able to get it at a more reasonable price. Even if it is a higher price than what you would like to pay, it might still be at a leveled off price. And at least you'll know it's not going to fluctuate too much at that point. So be careful. Don't go paying these 500,000, 10,000, 5,000 on that. Like the guys that just bought that. How do you think that person that bought that book for 5,100 feels right now? How do you think they feel? They're on the tips of the heels right now, thinking to themselves, "Did I just blow $5,000 on a fake book?"
The weird part about that too, and I hesitate to say this because I know people will jump to conclusions when I say this a little bit. Don't hear what I'm not saying though. Isn't it a little strange that there were a couple high dollar sales like that and that nobody else jumped on any of the other copies after that?
Which I also have my reservations of who might have been involved with those high price sales.
And I am not.
I'm not going to say names, and I'm not going to accuse. Yeah. I'm not going to say anything like that.
I'm definitely not saying that anybody was involved. For sure.
But it does put up red flags.
It is a very interesting element,
especially when you see a post go on the next day pointing it out.
And again, I mean, like, guys, I do this for a living essentially now. Like, I make these kinds of videos, I talk about this kind of stuff, and I am a skeptical person by nature. And so that's when I say that set off, kind of my spidey sense. That's what I mean. It just seemed like weird, convenient timing, strange thing. Like, it just seemed odd. It just seemed odd to me. That's what I'll say.
Now here's the thing.
I was curious. I'm actually looking up right now to see how those.
I did watch a follow-up stuff from Bry.
Yep.
Stating that he's been in touch with one of the two people that sold it for over $5,000, and he gives his 100% endorsement that it was a real sale. He did say this. This is not my words. This is Bry's words. This is what he said, that it was a real sale, legitimate sale. The guy that they made the purchase received the money through his account, blah, 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 etc., etc. Now, I don't know. I really don't know. Well, I don't know what to say to that. And he also made a point that a book that sold the first book, ended up selling for like $2,000. That was the first book. The guy took the first offer he got and basically ran with it. He said that person might have made a mistake and sold it for way too less at that point. Again, these are not my words. These are Bry's words. They're video documented.
What I will point out, though, is the kind of, because I don't want to breed conspiracy theories on here. So here's the counterpoint.
These are no conspiracy theories. These are video documented. No.
But what I'm saying is when you speak of things like this, sometimes people take their imagination and run with it. And to counter that, what I will say is For there are people that would say, oh, so he did it to make more money off this book. Well, if that's the case, he sold all of them, unless there's some sort of back-end deal he has with one of the buyers. Except for the one he said he's keeping, he sold all of them already for much less than that price. So if people are out there wondering, you know, if there is some of this kind of like ill intent sort of stuff, and I know there are people out there thinking that it just doesn't add up to me, because he would have to have a deal with one of the final people or sell his copy, which would also raise flags for people and would be public and people would know about it.
But it also brings up a lot of red flags, because you're going to get the conspiracy theorists. They're always going to come out.
Oh, of course.
They're always going to come out. They're going to say all of a sudden these unslabbed books are showing up out of nowhere that potentially weren't destroyed. You know, like things like that could, you know, people start saying things like that. The 2K person was in the comments on IG post and did say he screwed up. Yeah, well,
yeah.
Again,
warehouse find next year. Yeah, that's the thing, and that's why I talked about, hey man, you should release the certification numbers for these. That's why I mentioned that. And again, he jumped right to it. And of course, that is not a foolproof thing. I've had to say that every time, because people could rehold
a nice stamp on it.
Yeah.
A nice gold.
I mean, it's as good as you could do as the original person that ordered them. I mean, you can't really control what people do after that.
How about
that's more on CGC.
CGC put that gold stamp right on the book. How's that?
Right. Exactly. Do you have the book handy, by the way? Like, is it nearby?
I could go get it. You want me to get
it? Are
it?
you willing to go get it real fast? Because I just want to show people, you know, what we're talking about here.
Give me a second. I'll go get it. Stop camera.
So yeah, it is one of those things. Guys, we're probably going to wrap up kind of soon, but we are going to take a look at the book that CJ has, which is one of the 9/9 virgins. If there is anybody that does have any questions, things that we didn't get to, please make sure you're throwing those in chat so we have some time to address it before we do wrap up the show. Yes, and that's worth noting. I'm actually now curious if we know the same person, but I know somebody who, you know, this is friend of a friend kind of a thing, right? I totally admit that, but I know somebody I trust who knows somebody that was involved in one of the sales too, and so I have reason to believe that they're legitimate beyond just the face value. Oops. Sorry, I removed you there. There we go.
All right. So here it is in its glory. See, Delato. By the way, it has like it has those rings inside the CGC case. You know, they're beautiful. Those are rare too.
Oh, don't be selling me on the Newton rings, man.
Oh no! Listen, the pattern of these Newton rings are one of one.
So that's the rarest Delato then, right?
Yes, because no other slab like this has these Newton ring patterns. They're all different, just like fingerprints. It has a life of its own.
Okay, and real fast, really need Brad to do an interview like this to clear stuff up. It would most likely help him greatly. So to be fair, I'm not the only one that did it, but I did have a conversation with him earlier today or yesterday, depending on what time zone you're in. And he basically, he said to the effect of, like, if he thought there was any reason to come on, he'd be happy to do so. He said, like, I tried to answer everything. I'm kind of tired of dealing with it, which I understand. I understand, like, having gone through this for a few days, you probably would be feeling that way. And he did offer, he said, like, is there any questions that I can answer for you now? And unfortunately, the answer he gave to one of those questions is one that I've kind of danced around it a little bit, but I don't want to get anybody in trouble. So that's what I'll say. But yeah,
and I'll give a tip to some people that really want rare stuff. if you really want something that you know for a fact is rare, I'll show you an example of something that's really rare. Okay?
Okay.
You see this? This
Yep.
original artwork. This was done by Joe Rubinstein. That's what you call a one of one. Not manufactured one of one, a true one of one. And that's it. So if you really want rare stuff, go get your rare stuff done by the artists themselves. Not something that's printed at press and you have to take somebody's word for it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, so a couple questions are coming up in chat to address those. Dan's X-Men Comics wanted to know, does anybody know who is buying them? Yeah, so I'm aware of one of those transactions. Gamma Base Comics was aware of another in here. So they're let's just say they're real people in the community. That's the best way to put it. Now, were they talked to by somebody else? I don't know. That's impossible for me to say. Biggie Shack says it's probably really a 7.5, which is pretty funny.
Yeah, Biggie Shack also thinks it's worth $50. So
right. Coming to me wanted to know what else you got this up. So you got another exclusive, right?
Yeah, I got a Miles Morales Spider-Man #1.
So just 2 books.
That's it. For $250 plus shipping. I want to say $265 total. Not a cheap mystery box.
Yeah. Yep, good point. And I do support that message for sure. If you really are looking for the one-on-one type stuff.
I'm a big believer of that. If you really want true, rarity, those are the true rare things. Those are the true here. I'm a practice what you preach guy. Let me see if I have something around here.
Hey, before you go to something else, can you show us the cert label on that to show it? Is that one of the ones? Is it listed that it's the CGC 18 of 20 thing or whatever?
Yeah, 18 by 20. I don't have it in front of me. If you want, I'll go get it. You want me to go get it?
I mean, isn't it literally?
I'll go get it. You make me get up again. All right.
No. I'm talking about the book right in front of you.
I'll go get it. You want me to go get it?
I'm talking about the ones right in front of you.
What, this?
This book, yeah.
Yeah, I don't have the shirt on me. I took
No. It's the top of the freaking label, man.
Oh, what about it?
Are these ones the ones that where it says inside the print on the label, so and so of 20 or whatever?
No, none of them say that.
No, that's not true. Some of the people that do this type of thing where CGC destroys the extra print run
it says Bryce Comic Virgin Edition, Amazing Spider-Man 920, Death of Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, Zeb Wells story, John Romita, blah blah blah. Gabriel Delato cover. Yeah, it says that.
Okay, because for example, like the first I think it was Death of Superman or whatever that Big Time Collectibles did. They had it said big. I can't remember exactly, but it said something like Big Time.
You know about the CGC that stamp that was on the back of the book? They actually had a CGC stamp right on the back of the book, which was another controversy in itself.
No. Okay, hold up. That's actually not true. That was on promo art. It wasn't on the real cover.
It wasn't, because I remember seeing something that they were showing off.
Legion of Comics corrected me on that one, and then Big Time Collectibles contact me because I posted about that.
Corrected. I remember seeing that image though.
Now CGC mocked that art up and threw because it said CGC on the comic, and people like me went, "What the hell?" And because they put it out in a press release too. It wasn't like it was something that they kept internal or whatever. They deleted the press release and they corrected the promo art. But no, what I'm saying is right below the title of the book on those Death of Supermans, it said I'm pretty sure it was Death of Superman. It said Big Time Collectibles 1 of 100 or whatever I can't remember what it was limited.
It doesn't say anything like that here.
Just checking, because if that was the case, if you went to send it to get reholdered, they would keep the numbering.
They sent a certificate. There was a Bry certificate that Bry has printed out they gave it to us.
Yeah, which I don't. Paper certificates mean absolutely nothing to me. So
At least if it was inside the case, I would
well,
understand.
yeah, but CGC doesn't. They don't do anything with certificates.
Yeah,
so.
it's a piece of paper that came with it.
Yeah, I mean, but the funny thing is, to me, if CGC is, because that's what Big Time Collectibles did too. They had CGC destroy the extras. They did the labeling with the the limited numbering, the one of, I wish I could remember what it was, 300, 500, whatever it was, 200. If you're going to have CGC do that, they should at least do that on the labels too. Like they should at least number them. If you're saying that only 20 of these are going to be encapsulated and the rest are going to be destroyed, then why not number them?
I don't understand why. I don't understand why Brian didn't have the insight to ask them to do that.
It's probably money. Is probably the reason why. But
why? It would have made a difference if they added one more line on the actual.
No, they would have charged him for it. That's probably what would have happened.
Would they have? Because that's part of the.
That's probably
legacy
an
of the book.
exclusive service that they charge money for, is my guess.
I don't know. For years on an X-Men 1, they for some reason they were naming all the first appearances on there except for Iceman. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, I remember that.
For some weird reason.
Yeah.
They're not charging extra for the Iceman that they're putting in right now.
No. But let me just say, like, I can say very confidently they charged money to do that with the people that had that done.
All right, you know what? But
my guess is that they
even
probably
if it was a couple bucks more in an event like this, especially for something you're rolling out something massive like this on a small business level, because for a small business, this is something as a big premium that you're doing.
Yeah,
you're best off not cutting corners on at least your first ever, and making that really legitimate.
Right.
Everything was pointing to as this is the rarest Delato. It was supposed to be a big deal.
Yeah.
So what you're saying about the numbering, if that's the case, they should have put the number right on there. And if it costs, even if it costs another buck a book to get that done, it was well worth it.
They're a business; they can do whatever they want.
Of course,
but to me, if you're going to be in the business, which, look, I have problems with CGC doing the destroying of the extra print run, like the way they're doing it, the fact that they're doing it at all when they're the people that are responsible for encapsulating. Like, if you're going to do that, you have to do it correctly. If you're in CGC's shoes, it's extremely important to me. If you want to keep the integrity and the credibility of that, they should be providing evidence of destruction, in my opinion. But on top of that, if they're going to be in that business at all, where you're going to be destroying these extras in the print run and only encapsulating a certain amount of them, then number them so we know. And so if somebody does send their book in to get reholdered, or if you come across one in the wild and you look at it and you go, wait a minute, these were limited to 20. CGC destroyed all the extra. How come this one, it doesn't say which one it is? So some fuckery was afoot. And that to me is kind of the extra layer that CGC needs to be going to if they're going to be doing this service.
Yes and no. I've seen a lot of people throw CGC under the bus as far as this is concerned, and they should stick to doing whatever they're doing. It's just grading that stuff. It's not for us to label them what they should stick to and what they shouldn't do, because in order for a business to evolve and to continue to grow, they have to add more services to their profile.
That's interesting, Wilbert.
What's that say?
It says the versions are numbered in a way with a serial number ranging from a range of ending in 002 to 020. Are you able to see on yours?
Let's see if you're correct.
I'm not doubting you, Wilbert. You sounds like you know what you're talking about. That's a pretty specific set of numbers.
Yeah, mine's 0014.
Okay, interesting.
So he's right.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting to me about that is I was under the impression that multiples were sent, and they selected the best 20 of the bunch. But if they're consecutive, then...
No, the numbers from CGC are consecutive.
Oh, you're talking about the certain number.
Yeah, the certain number.
Yeah. Well, but the certain number. So here's the problem, Wilbert. CJ cracks that and sends it into CGC. Bye certain number. unless he sends the label in, they won't assign it the same cert number. I thought he was talking about the serial number printed in the like the barcode on the back or something.
No, that's at least that's what I'm reading. Though I got exactly what he's reading, and I got mine is number 14.
Tired brain. I read it as in like the serial number printed on the book.
No,
yeah, I'm sure that's not the case. Yeah. Well, Wilbert, I'm actually the one that told him to post those cert numbers. So that's funny. I forgot the range we were talking about. But yeah, he posted that because of me.
I think
again, I give him props for doing, by the way.
Maybe it's a situation where Bry really didn't think things out completely prior to actually launching this. He might have been excited about the fact that he got a Delauder. Listen, it's a big deal to get an artist like this to do your cover. I think it's a big deal, right?
100%.
If you got a Bronze Age comics book and you got Gil Kane to do your cover, who was talking about Gil Kane before? Somebody was Kyle. He was talking about Gil Kane. That's a big Bronze Age guy, and you have the name Bronze Age Nerd, and you have a Gil Kane cover. That's a big deal, you know.
So this is something I want to talk about. I talk about this all the time, and I want to like educate some people on it for a second. This is Hanlon's razor. You might be familiar with Occam's razor. This is a similar principle. Never attribute to malice that which is adequately explained by stupidity. And I will tell you, as a human that's gone around this earth a number of times, and I think a fairly observant one, this is true way more than you might think at first glance.
Well, there's a lot of truth in that.
There's a ton of truth in it. And so what does this mean? This doesn't mean I'm saying that there's no way that anybody was involved. Don't read into what I'm saying here. I'm just saying that it's very likely that what CJ just said, there's probably at least a lot of truth to that. It probably wasn't something that was thought through because he probably didn't expect any of this to happen. Like it's like if I told you that you were going to be, the center of this situation, a lot of people were going to have eyes on it. You'd probably be like, I should do some more due diligence here and all that stuff. That's the stuff that comes in hindsight. Because if you don't foresee that happening, all you can really do is realize that you made a mistake in not foreseeing those situations and learn from that, hopefully. I think that's all you can, and apologize and those sorts of things that go along with that, right? Like that's really all you can get into.
But there was a lot of things that are overlooked, and maybe because of ignorance, maybe of not understanding, maybe of not reading every single little fine line in that contract between him and Marvel. Maybe a lot of things. Maybe he didn't hire a lawyer to read that contract prior to signing it with Marvel. A lot of people cut corners like that. I personally, if I had signed a contract with Marvel or DC or somebody like that, I'd pay an attorney $500 to go take a good look at that contract and make sure I'm not missing anything. Because my eyes might miss something that the attorney's eyes will get. I'm just saying.
No, you're right. You're right.
These are I deal with contracts all day, every day.
Yeah.
And these are the things that people really need to understand. If you're running a business, you have liabilities, and you need to make sure that you're covered in any possible way. It's a valuable lesson that Bry's learning right now.
Yeah.
Again, theoretically, if that's the case, because again, I'm taking people's words for what they're saying, not believing it. Me taking your word for it and believing it is two different things. I'm giving you the benefit of doubt by doing that.
Yeah, and to me that goes back to the Hanlon's razor is if you're in Bry's shoes and you are talking to Marvel, people might make the mistake of thinking like, well, they've done this a lot. This is all probably on the up and up. And I think that's a very reasonable mistake to make because they have done it a lot. And there is not a lot of controversy that comes out of each individual one of these exclusives on its own. But yeah, like you said, it's a lesson that is definitely being learned now. And if you are somebody out there that's kind of in the similar space as Bry's Comics and you're going to release an exclusive through Marvel or another company, yes, you probably would pay to have a lawyer kind of do a once over for sure.
Can you do me a favor and highlight Decor's comment?
Decor. Yeah, but even if just making a mistake, Bry has proven and shown that he's not taking any kind of responsibility and doubling down and blaming the customer for calling him out.
I think he's blaming. I think you're incorrectly saying that he's blaming the customer. He's blaming Marvel.
I didn't quite get that he was blaming the customer.
I got the blame game. That's the first thing I said. I think everybody's pointing the fingers at the next guy.
I agree with that.
I don't know why if he's blaming the customer, because honestly, if he blamed me for calling him out, there's going to be a shitstorm to pay for.
Well, and when you also say like he's not taking any kind of responsibility, he's also going on to say in that video that he's going to try to learn from this.
I also think it's a sorry not sorry video. I mean that's fair too, but is that lining up with what the comment we're reading is what I'm saying? No, I think Decor's got it wrong. Unless there's something that we're missing where he called out a customer for blaming him. Maybe if that's the case, then he's really wrong. He's barking up the wrong tree. If he's blaming or yelling at the customers, that's not something you should be doing.
By the way, Decor, if there is something along those lines that I missed, please let me know, because that is certainly possible.
Please DM me, because if he's doing anything towards the customers as far as throwing blame, there's gonna be hell to pay for. I guarantee you.
I love this comment. My Instagram club didn't exclusive. There's no way in hell hiring a lawyer was even considered. Yeah, I think it's right or not. I think it's probably something that does not happen very often in these situations.
Well, but that's because people are making business moves that are not business people.
Yep.
You have to take that into consideration. Listen, it's a savage world. You gotta check what you're signing. You gotta know what you're signing. Unless you are so physically, you are so competent to be able to read the legal documents and not miss a damn thing, which some people are.
Sure.
You better get a lawyer. That's all I say.
Yep. No, I don't have any information about that, but I would suspect it's unlikely in this situation, but I don't know for sure. That's speculation. But by the way, Wilbert, did anyone mention that Yellow Flash did a video on Bry? That's a channel with 427,000 subs. I gotta be honest, I don't know who that is.
I saw critical. I think was it the Yellow Flash? I think it was Yellow Flash. It might have been either Yellow Flash or Critical Thinking that started.
Critical Thinking. Neither channel I'm familiar with, but
and I will tell you something: you do not want to be on Critical Thinking or Yellow Flash's radar when it comes to these controversies, because they will freaking annihilate you.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know.
They're one of these these are channels they're very big channels, but they focus on drama. They love the drama and they love the hate, and they're not rinky dinky 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 sub channels. We're talking about 100, 200, 500,000 sub channels would they have actual following. You do not want to get on their radar.
I think your answer there just explained how come these are channels I'm not familiar with. Going back to Joe's comment, which I wanted to address this. The biggest question I have is whether Marvel really did say it was new OA, which is what Bry said. Otherwise, we will never know. So, yeah, that's the thing is, if even if that information was out there, we don't know for sure because Bry, he's under NDA. He can't talk about the contents of that now, or he can't do so without repercussions. Let's say it that way. So yeah, we're kind of in the situation where we won't know the truth from his side, even if he could release an email and prove his innocence completely of this, or at least Marvel intended to really say it was OA with him.
Here's the situation: if it's truly Marvel's fault, then somebody like Bry is insignificant to them. They're going to throw him under the bus and let him take the heat. It's just how it is. If it's a guy like Delato's fault, nothing's really going to happen to the guy because the guy is still talented, and people are going to still want him to do art for him.
Yeah.
He might like take a little ding, and he might just play the Italian card, like, oh no, I understand it. You know, like he's going to take that card.
We know somebody who knows him. Spidey, ring him up. Ring up Delato. Let's get the truth right now.
There you go. Now, if it's the handler's fault, they're the ones that might lose their jobs.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, that would be. That's what I'm talking about with like one hand not knowing what the other hand is doing. Like that could be.
If it's the handler's fault with no knowledge from Delato and no knowledge from Marvel, then they're the ones that could actually get the most. That actually would be the best case scenario for Bry. To discover that it's the handler's fault.
It'd be the best case scenario for everyone involved except for the handler.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. I never want to see anybody get fired or anything like that. But
exactly.
But as far as salvaging everybody's reputations, except for the handlers, if it's their fault.
I want to address this comment from Pad Bear J. The NDA is the bit that bothers me. Why would Marvel need someone to sign something like that over an exclusive cover? Well, Pad Bear, it can bother you, but I can tell you, multiple people who are involved in these conversations have confirmed to me that there would be an NDA involved in something like this. So that does seem legit. Based on what I've done from my research, many of those people, for reasons you might imagine, don't really want to like publicly comment on that, but that is the situation from what I've been able to turn up.
And at the same time, they don't want to reveal their inner workings to their competitors.
True, there's also that. Yeah, 100%.
I understand why they want an NDA.
I do love Swag's comment. Based on the LCSs I've seen, I can't imagine many people in comics are all that buttoned up with business. Good point. Yeah, there's a lot of poorly run shops out there, unfortunately.
Guys, and I will tell you this one. I know the guy made the Yellow Flash comment. I don't wish this on anybody to get on their radar. Those two channels will wreck you. But to a lot of people, like I don't wish that on anybody. Like I'd rather they don't get involved in that. Although it will bring a lot of attention to the community, but I don't recommend doing that. It's going to bring heat all over the place by doing that. They already were. I heard Critical Thinking talking about Tate today. You were talking about the $97 a book. They could get after these guys in all different ways. Guys bringing up his charges and arrests and all kinds of shit.
Oh, interesting.
Bullies.
Yeah, not a channel familiar with. Not the kind of stuff I generally enjoy watching, but maybe I'll check it out just to see what.
Maybe I'm gonna check it out. I know that I heard something be mentioned, but I don't think I heard Bry's name specifically. So,
no, maybe it was a different stream or video than just being referred to here or something.
It's possible. I'll go check Yellow Flash because I'm subscribed to them. I watch them just like I watch everything. I watch all kinds of content, hate content, good content, bad content, good, great content. I like watching content.
Yeah, so that's the difference. There's a lot of content on YouTube that's comic book related that it's blind spots for me. There's a lot of content where and probably some of these I might have watched the video and just been like, nope. If it's certain kinds of content, I just nope out of it pretty fast.
Some people are horrible, like horrible human beings. They shouldn't be running YouTube, but they're allowed to. But for the most part, everybody just has their opinions. Whether you agree with it or not, they have their opinions. And with these channels, the reason I watch it is sometimes I agree with them, sometimes I don't. But for the most part, they like the drama. They're like the drama guys. They love like the hone in on that.
Yeah, and that's my I don't love that stuff. So,
but I listen to them all, regardless. I like drama guys. I like bad guys, good guys. I have all the guys, obnoxious guys. I know a couple people like that.
Decor says, I mean, NDA for what? Get artists, make art, pay them, submit art to publishers, get approval, print, book, and sell. what trade secrets are people in the industry trying to protect? I mean, like, you're talking about remember whose parent company Marvel is, right? We're talking about Disney and contract negotiations. Yeah, they're gonna NDA any contract negotiation at any level in their business, probably. And plus, when you talk about things like artists getting paid and some of the history with that, like they might not be disclosing to other artists like what they're getting paid, the deals that they have with a smaller shop versus a bigger shop, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, look, let's start with the most basic thing. In that contract, it's going to say how much it's going to cost them to do that exclusive.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't want DC to know how much it costs somebody to do a Marvel book, and maybe vice versa. DC doesn't want Marvel to know how much they do. I'm sure it gets leaked.
Yeah.
But you get what I'm saying? They don't want it openly out there. They don't want people to go on YouTube and on Instagram saying, yeah, well, it cost me this much to do on with Marvel. You've never seen somebody tell you how much it costs between them and Marvel, unless, you know, they've already burned that bridge and don't care about getting sued.
Right.
But I don't think I've ever seen anybody give you exact specifics of how much it costs to do a negotiation and a deal between them and Marvel for a Marvel exclusive book. I know that it ranges $8 to $10,000. That I know.
I know that
for a decent
one person
artist.
I know that did their first exclusive. It took me forever to find it. I want to say it was upwards of 15 to do exclusive with a big artist for a book.
I didn't say big artist, for a decent artist. 8 to 10 for a decent artist.
No. I mean, like, yeah, I mean the same thing. Like, not some nobody, right? Like, this is somebody who's regularly working in the comic book industry with Marvel covers. Not like a big, not art germ or something, but
or
J. Scott Campbell or whatever. Or he's up there, but I don't think he's quite at the top. He's up there.
Could be about 15. It's not that far off. From 10 to 15. No, it could be that in that kind of range. But you know that's what you're looking at.
Yeah, absolutely. Black Swamp Comics, I agree. You should listen to other points of views. If that's in relation to what I was talking about earlier, I just don't enjoy drama content. Like, I also don't really watch a lot of like comic history stuff on YouTube. I don't even really watch a lot of stuff that's in my own niche anymore. There's a few channels I watch, but it's a lot.
Well, you should watch comic history. You had Comic Explained in here before. And he freaking he's the comic history guy, him and Comic Historian.
Yeah. I mean, I do watch some of that stuff too. Like I watch comic tropes and creator history, that kind of stuff. Like I watch that. But
if you're still watching, Rob, if you're still watching, I want you on the Insomniac. Could you imagine me getting him on an Insomniac?
There's a channel I gotta admit I don't watch that channel. I probably should more often, but I don't. And none of that, by the way. I just don't have a lot of time to watch stuff like this. I'd rather focus the time I do have on hanging out with friends of mine on YouTube and making my own content. Like that's more what it is. But you know, some things get served across the old algorithm, and I will watch them for sure. But yeah.
So what's the moral of the story, Bronx?
So that's where I was going to get to here. Although I see some talk about the good old Economics and Comics had mentioned something about 3K. Like I really doubt you could do a Marvel
maybe for independent or an Image.
I mean, think about it. That's $1 a book because you have to order 3,000.
Maybe for an independent book.
For another publisher, that is very possible because I mean, like you could be doing like 200 books. Like a lot of his stuff is very limited, and he's doing it with like Counterpoint and some of the other different and his own stuff too, of course.
There's a reason why most guys that do exclusives do them on independent books and not on the DC and Marvel.
To Barbarian's comment, I cannot tell you the last time that I've watched a Comic Tom video though. It's been every once in a while one comes across. I think on my like personal account, I'm subscribed to a bunch of channels that are comic related because years ago I was watching all that stuff. Occasionally I'll click in and see like what's going on there because I want to kind of stay current. And that's true for like all the channels that are kind of in that realm, like Bueller, Reggie, Jim Mint. Yeah, every couple months I kind of check in and see what people are doing in the realm and see like, you know, what's changed, but it's not very often. But yeah, Black Flag told everyone how much they were into the new infamous Creighton Klein acetate and opened the doors when everything was falling apart on his end. Where did Black Flag come into this? I mean, yeah, we talked about that a little bit later as far as
and by the way, that book is still holding up and asking for a handsome amount for
it's not holding value the way it was though.
No,
it's dropped.
Obviously not, but I thought it would have been toilet paper by now.
Yeah, I never thought it would be toilet paper because once the controversy happened, I thought it would hold some allure. The problem is tons of people sent it in for that Clayton Crane signing, which is exactly what CGC wanted. They wanted to get rid of those blue labeled books. They wanted to have green, you know, and green yellow labeled books out there, and people did it. They shouldn't have if they had it, in my opinion.
Oh, if I had a blue label, I would have kept it
100%. But a lot of
people. Same way I have this, I would have put them next to each other. And look, I would have had the two most notorious books from the past 5 years. I kind of feel like I needed one of those now.
To get to the moral of the story here, I think for me it lands on a combination of Hanlon's razor. Everybody just learned it. Never attribute to malice that which is adequately explained by stupidity. That is a very important framing reference when you're thinking about, you know, controversies or scandals like this. Another one is there's human beings involved at the core of all this stuff. Human beings like CJ who bought one of these comic books, human beings like Bry, other people out there making content about the situation, and never forget that they have their own motivations, their own intent, they have their own feelings. A lot of people don't necessarily go out to screw people over or you know, they don't want to be at the center of a bunch of controversy. Some people do. That happens. But I think when it comes down to it is if you're in the position where you're going to be doing something like this, you're going to be making an exclusive, you really need to think about all the ramifications. You need to do your due diligence on the artwork, your contract, have somebody look it over like we talked about a minute ago. All those different things are extremely important. When you're entering in any kind of business arrangement, how you market that book, but
fact check.
For a lot of us, though, like I just would caution people to put themselves in those shoes. Like, how cool do you think it was for Bry to be thinking that he was getting this Delato cover on his own exclusive? Probably thought it was pretty cool. And that, I'm not saying that excuses everything, you know, every conflict.
I guarantee he was over the top.
Yeah.
He was over the top. He was giddy. He also thought his shit didn't stink too because he probably got a Delato thing. He became a little arrogant. And sometimes when you become a little arrogant with these things, you start to make mistakes.
And like making the post about, you know, like, hey, you know, this book's doing really awesome. You know, like, look what it's selling for. I understand that motivation too. Now, it's not necessarily how I would have handled it. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's not necessarily how I would have handled it. It's not exactly how I would have worded it if I was posting about it. But I absolutely get the motivations around that. But I think also the importance, you know, that comes across this is like, I've nothing anywhere near like this. I've been involved in a couple things where, like, you know, people have kind of been talking about it around the community, and I take that stuff pretty seriously. When it's happened, I definitely usually chill out and kind of sit back and watch what people have to say and learn from those situations. Sometimes, you know, people have reactions and it's what I expected, and sometimes people have reactions and it's not what I expected. And I need to be aware of that and move forward with the understanding that, you know, like what I want people to get from my channel or from things I do is very important to me. It's at the heart of anything I do here. Is any of these videos I put out, any of these streams I put out, I put a level of myself into it that I hold myself to a high degree of integrity. I was raised that way. It's just part of who I am, and I take that very seriously. So if I was to do anything along those lines, I am going to think through the ramifications of what's happening as much as I can. I'm going to reach out to other people in the community and say, hey, here's the situation. Like, you know, what do you think about it? Like, does this seem like something that, you know, am I missing something here? Trying to kind of, you know, make sure I have that perception on things. And I think that when it comes down to it, a lot of people are upset because of different aspects of this that are important issues right now. There's a lot of eyeballs on just about everything. Like I keep saying layer cake, you can call it a pie, you can call it whatever you want, any food analogy. There's a lot of elements to this that people are going to zone in on, whether it's the exclusive, the manufacturer scarcity, CGC being involved, the fact that he's a YouTuber making a comic book. Any number of those things has people, it's a trigger for people in this community now. And when you add all this together, you really have to be cautious. You really have to step back and kind of wonder what's going on. And yeah, you have to conduct yourself a certain way afterwards as well. I think that's important. That's what I come to with this is just, if you don't like something that happened here, the one takeaway that I'd have maybe for people to take is try to attack the concept that you don't like, not an individual. You know, consider that anyway. I can't tell if you're frozen or waiting to talk, CJ.
No, I'm listening to you. I'm being very
it's
quiet.
So hard when it's just a hands, you know, like, because if they stay still long enough.
Well, the thing is, like, I don't want. Should I do this and cover him up, or in my shame?
I understand. I get it.
Right? Like, hi, Spidey. No. I don't know. Listen. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. You know, listen. I don't like to directly hit people's personalities, that kind of thing. Especially if I don't know somebody personally. You know what I'm saying? Like for me to make assumptions and that kind of thing, I can't say that. However, I do say that people need to be accountable for themselves, for their actions. They need to own up on every level. And we get past it. Like I said before, we're all human beings. You make a mistake, own up it. It will cost you something at that moment. But in the long run, because you owned up to it, you'll be better for it down the line.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't kill somebody. You didn't roofie 50 women. You didn't do all kinds of shit. You know, like there's all kinds of stuff that you could have done that was worse.
Yeah.
You know, so like these are the things that you need to take into consideration. So, me personally, I'm disillusioned with the whole situation. But the one takeaway that I'd like people to at least learn from this experience, because listen, this for me is also part of musing. Like right now, I have something to like bitch about, you know, because until the next thing, you know.
No, trust me. I guess it's like with fighting codenames at bronze. You're right, but chaos is so much more fun. That's true. A lot of people just want something to talk about.
Yeah. So now I got something to bitch about. Listen, I could bitch about it because I have one. So I could bitch about it.
Really, I hadn't heard that before.
All you people that don't have one, what are you going to bitch about? You know, I got another 499 people that could join me bitching about it.
Yeah.
We could all bitch about it together. You know, like that's what we could do. But this gives me a platform until the next one. You know, listen, John Jang, you're on my radar. We got a lot of other things that we could bitch about. But I'm just saying that we're gonna, you know, we're gonna get past this at one point, and that's it. We still have the bagging board bastards that we have to deal with. But Don't be a moron.
Yeah.
Don't take somebody's word for whatever they say. Oh, he looks trustworthy. She looks trustworthy. She's got big tits. How could she be lying to me? Like, don't take anybody's word for anything.
Yeah.
Do your own due diligence.
Yeah, absolutely.
And use your own logic. Use your own logic. Like, think about it. For somebody to be putting a box together of these that are supposedly so rare, so valuable, why would they sell them off in boxes like that and not sell them off individually in auctions and make people play through the nose for them in auctions? Why would they do that if they were that rare and that valuable?
Yeah.
Because of the kindness of their heart? No. There's a reason why. It's not as rare. It's not as valuable as you think it is. If you really love it.
Swag's laughing over here real fast, but just wait till the Darkhawk controversy comes, my friend. A whirlwind is coming.
Well, there was a Darkhawk controversy probably about 8 to 10 months ago. Don't you remember they were artificially trying to maybe a little over a year ago. They were artificially trying to prop up a Darkhawk and Sleepwalker.
And you're saying that Swagglehouse was at the center of that controversy? That's crazy, CJ.
I think he was the number one person that was behind it. I think Swaggle is the one demented guy that truly loves Darkhawk. But hey, we got all our weird fetishes.
Hey, David, you got an offer to make us shut up here. 2K right there, man. It's on the table.
You want it for 2K?
I'll let you two negotiate offline unless you want to hold the live auction here.
If he's really nuts enough to pay 2K for it, yeah, take it. Take it.
There you go. There you go. You better take it. Yeah, so I think we've kind of wrapped up most of our thoughts on this.
I'm not a hard negotiator, you see.
Leave the bidding open. We kind of wrapped up. I do want to just throw this out there again because I mentioned at the top of the show, and I totally understand why you didn't feel like he needed to. That's fine. In a way, I'm glad he didn't because it freed us up to talk about all aspects of this. But Bri, if you ever do want to come on and talk about this, you're more than welcome to do so. I want to give you your ability to talk back to anything we talked about tonight. Just really, go out there and be good comic collectors to each other. The ability to, be excellent to each other, right? That's what I would recommend. And that goes for everybody, whether you're selling comic books or collecting comic books, buying comic books. There's so many different ways that people here in this community have acted poorly, but also ways that people have acted really awesomely towards each other. I mean, we saw some of that earlier with what's going on with Gamma Base and that situation. Nick coming in here and saying he's going to auction off a sketch cover or something like that for that cause. That's like an awesome act. We've seen awesome acts in this stream. So don't let the negativity overshadow your days, and we'll absolutely keep reporting on this if more stuff comes to light. In the meantime, I feel like I wanted to give everybody in chat a chance to say what they wanted to say, maybe get it out of their systems. I wanted to have CJ on when I saw him talking in chat because, look, I mean, he bought one of these things, right? Definitely.
Don't be afraid to call people out of their bullshit.
Yep, that too. I mean, that's true too. Yeah, 100%. I'd use that power very judiciously when it comes down to it, but I'm willing to do that too, and I hope everybody in the community is, because that's, think about it, just a scammer or something like that we encounter in a selling group or on Instagram or whatever. That's how we prevent other people from getting scammed, and how we let people in the community know that we're going to police ourselves.
Well, not only that, sometimes somebody needs to be confronted directly and say, hey, listen, yeah, I'm on to you. They need it sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's the case with Bri, but I'm just saying in a lot of cases, I mean, you're doing that other hot shot bullshit that's happening. Well, you think this guy doesn't need somebody to come and say, hey, you, I'm not going to use language because it's not Insomniac, but hey, you F-face, listen to me. I'm on to you.
Yeah.
In your BS. You know, they need that. They need it.
Yeah, it's
Brian's on the chat. He's good at calling people out.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, we talked about you a little bit earlier in the show, Brian. With the situation, I kind of said that I would let that lie between you guys, but we did have to recap it as part of the events that happened here. But glad you popped into the show. I need it. Let's be honest. But yeah, no, 100%, man, 100%. And like I watched, I mentioned earlier, I watched the Beyond Wednesday's stream on this. Josh from International Comics was on that stream. He's the guy who helped kind of spread the word that this cover had been used before. So I mean that's all valuable information that was brought forward. That's one way to look at it for sure. So we'll continue to follow the situation, as we kind of do wrap up here. You got anything you need to plug before you get out of here, CJ? Anything you want to tell the people about?
Probably, I'm gonna just see how things pan out with this. I'll give routine updates as far as this is happening. Obviously, we keep in touch. You'll probably bring up a lot of things like in the middle of my other insanity on the Insomniac. I'll probably burst out and say something about this as I normally do. But as far as this week, as far as the upcoming week, we're gonna have the influencer series coming back.
You?
Yes, we are, and we're gonna have some good names. Unfortunately, because a lot of community people in this community that we're in are F faces. I'm still not cursing on your channel. They're F faces. They're F faces, and they like to poach. And if I tell them, and if I announce who they are, all of a sudden they try to poach my guys before I get to put them on the thing. So I'm not saying names anymore.
Okay. So when's the stream happening? That
probably next week we're going to start the influencer routinely. It's going to be going every single week. You might have some weeks because of schedules happening, double up. You might actually see 2 influencer series happen in 1 week, just because that's how it happens, and we always do it live. So I got to work with everybody's schedule because everybody's a diva. If I tell them, listen, I'm only available Mondays, they say, okay. So can I come Tuesday? I'm like, I just told you, Monday is the only day you could do it. No, I want Tuesday. I want Sunday. I want that. Anyway, you know how it works. You know the divas out there.
By the way, I just want to point out that you're talking about people poaching people and all that, and then you're trying to poach people from my chat into your influencer series.
Who did I poach?
You were trying to get Comics Explained to
yeah, like he's gonna actually come out. I told you I've been trying to get him out for he won't even freaking answer my questions correctly on the freaking messages I give him. Been trying to get him.
I kind of actually, that's a good point to bring up. I want to point out to people.
I've been trying to get him for a year now to come on.
So there's some stuff that comes up occasionally about this stuff about so and so didn't answer my DMs or something like that. And that comes up when you talk about these kind of conversations. And I can attest to this. I am not a big YouTube channel. Let's just get one thing straight. I have less than 5,000 subscribers. I don't have a huge following out there. There's a lot of people who have no idea who I am. And I will tell you that my IG DMs, I could scroll for minutes on minutes on minutes on minutes and minutes and not get to the bottom of that list. I get hit up by a lot of people all the time, from anything from, trying to give me some news about what's going on, like tips about things, which I really appreciate that. I try to respond to that as much as possible. People, graphical artists trying to get me to sign up for stuff. All kinds of comments, people that want to sell me comics, people that want to buy my comics, like everything. And I can only imagine if you were at, multiple times the level of popularity on YouTube that I am, there's probably a lot of messages, especially when something like this happens. Like when the C2E2 thing was going on, and I did that video, and then the comment I made about Marvel not approving the book and all that happened. I was getting like close to 100 different unique conversations a day coming my way from people. Like, did you hear about this? Did you see that? This is going on. And again, that information is very valuable, but it can be very hard to get back to everybody. So, keep that in mind. That's something that can happen.
It gets lost in the shuffle. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Listen,
absolutely.
Every time I say something that pisses people off, you got to see my DMs.
Yeah. So, and then also,
you at least get stuff where people want to have discussions about good stuff. Yeah. I at least get people like, you go to hell, die. I get those.
Yeah, there's some of that too. I left that out.
And porn pics, like I get a lot of those. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, you kind of bring that on yourself though with some of your videos.
It's not my fault, man. Not my fault. I'll ask for it.
But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. Real quick, I kind of want to say this. So I put out a video every Sunday called Top 5 Not to Buy. It's kind of this comical look I do on the top lists that are out there, but I put reasoning behind my picks and everything like that I pull from the hot lists. I did not do one this week, and I'll be honest with everybody. I was dealing with some stuff this weekend that became more and more important than doing YouTube. And honestly, like, I took a look at I thought, maybe I could get it out on Monday. And I took a look at the list, and there really weren't a lot of books that I felt passionate about.
Top 5 not to buy.
Well, it didn't show up on any lists yet. We probably will next week. Especially, I imagine CBSI will track that with some of the sales. But then again, it didn't sell since the 21st. There's not a lot of velocity going on there.
Well, they doubled since last week, because like the week before there was none.
Yeah, that's true. But
it's how they work.
So for those of my followers that have been following along, I've been dealing with some mental health stuff, and I'm getting help for it and everything. It's fine. It's not. If people say that, people assume a couple different things. It's nothing like that. It's something I've been dealing with for a while, and I'm finally getting some help about it. So I decided not to make that video and focus on myself. Just ask for some forgiveness for the people that do watch and follow that series. I will make one next week, and I do have some other videos I'm gonna try to get out soon. So some product reviews, the price look backs I do, that kind of stuff. But just wanted to put that out there. Yeah, I like to share that kind of stuff too, because frankly, the more we talk about it, the more we normalize the topic, and that's important. It's something I do plan on talking about more at length, as far as like the topic of the fact that a lot of the comic book community deals with mental health issues. It's something that I've noticed.
I think that you're right on target with that. I mean, listen, what we're doing right now, just having a nice conversation with each other and that kind of thing, it's good therapy for mental health.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Having people to talk to, having people in the chat that are like-minded, that may be enraged for one reason or another.
Right.
Might be just completely enraged. And maybe the fact that they're listening to other people having a debate or a conversation about something, it might give them ease of mind. It might make them feel better about whatever was bothering them or whatever the case is. And then this instant just triggered them for no reason. There's a lot of people that are disturbed, that have a lot of problems in life. There's a lot of people with mental health issues. There's a lot of people that have all kinds of different situations, life problems, health problems, that kind of thing. And it's something that if you ignore it, it'll only get worse. So you're best off trying to take care of it in the best way you can. And you're doing the right thing. Yeah.
And I just want to make sure to put people's minds at ease. I'm not like in danger or trouble or anything like that. I'm going to be fine. It's more about improving the quality of my mental health in my day-to-day life that I'm trying to fix and be a better person for it. As I come close to the end of my 40th year, looking down the barrel of my 41st birthday in early September. So
you don't want to tell people about the straitjacket that's behind you?
Well, that's actually for more of a bedroom related thing. So I don't like to talk about that too much.
Oh, okay.
No, just kidding. Oh, by the way, I just saw this comment. Brian, that is awesome. That would be really, 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 really cool to get some progress on. Another thing too, a couple of things people have kind of asked for an update on the Hot Shot Comics thing. I do plan on making an update. There's some stuff I was waiting for that I'm trying to kind of get some more information about. And then I most likely am going to have somebody who has a court case against Hot Shot Comics that's going on this week come on the show and talk about their situation. So if you're following along with that, I'm going to try to have them on and kind of give their perspective. There are 2 active court cases that I'm aware of against the owner of Hot Shot Comics. So we'll see how that case goes and hopefully get some, hopefully he shows up for his court date. He didn't last time. And we'll get some information about the situation with that. The giveaway, Joe was asking about the giveaway. So the giveaway was channel member giveaway. Gave away those books already. Shigeyuki, I think that's how you pronounce that. Won the giveaway.
It was clickbait. There was no giveaway. No giveaway. Nothing.
Oh,
nothing
there was a giveaway. There was a giveaway. And that was from Gamma Based Comics, who just commented in the chat here, by the way. Also, the last thing I'll say about it, there is 2 links in the chat. One of them is to Gamma Based Comics. It's a great Facebook selling group. I'm a part of it over there. I don't buy as much because I'm not trying to buy as many comics right now. I try to stick it pretty close to the list of comics I want, but I do love watching the stuff they post. He's posted some really cool stuff recently. A lot of it from his personal collection and stuff, and it's a really cool group to follow. And then the other thing is Big Time Collectibles has that exclusive where all the proceeds from that are going to his wife's medical costs. She's dealt with several strokes in the recent years, and then one back in April. She's had a lot of hospitalizations. It's a really cool, sexy World Tree cover. A lot of those good covers. It's a Virgin second printing cover. So go check that out too. If you're interested in that, it would be a big help. If you want to consider becoming a channel member so you can win more prizes next month, you can do that as well. The join button's down below. I don't ask you to like and subscribe, but I don't mind asking you to become a channel member because there are people that want to know how to support. That's how you can do it. Other than that, just being here and watching the videos, watching the streams, I definitely appreciate that. I do want to thank my guest that hopped on. Kyle was in here earlier. Kyle and I co-host Devil's Advocates every Monday night over on the EXP. Speaking of giveaways, we're going to be giving away a Catwoman 80th anniversary super spectacular 100-page giant CGC 98 on our Monday show. And there's going to be 21 slabs given away as part of that event, which is because EXP finally hit 2,000 subscribers. Guys, they're on a road to success. You really want to go check out their stuff. Original art auctions, new comic book reviews, my show about comic book controversies and not just comic book controversies, like controversial topics, like hot button topics, right? On Devil's Advocates. And Kyle's my co-host there, so plug for him and a plug for CJ. Go check out his
best.
He'll tell you he's the best over and over and over again.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for coming on and talking about it, showing off the book, talking about your experience, sharing your perspective, which is different than mine. So it's really great to have a different perspective. And I appreciate that, man.
I appreciate you. And by the way, Gamma, my wishes to you, your wife, and your whole family during this situation. I'm hoping for a quick recovery.
He's a real great dude. And, I like to support people in the comic community that are forces of positivity. Like he's dealing with all that stuff, and he means it when he says he's always there for me if I want to talk. And it's like, dude, I'm here for you. Like, you're the one dealing with so much stuff right now. That's the kind of positivity I want to, signal boost in the community. So that's awesome. All right, guys. Well, that's going to end it for us tonight. We are going to get out of here. Thank you so much for being a part of the stream. If anybody has any questions or they have any, concerns that they feel we're not addressing this, hit me up in those DMs, and eventually I will get back to you. And we'll talk about this again if there's anything worth mentioning. Have a great night/morning, everybody. Thanks for being here, and catch you later.
Well, I'm big. It's all about me. Oh, I am the best. So I guess it's a takeover. It's a takeover of the Bronze Age channel.
I may have just hit the wrong button.
Oh.
CJ thought he was going to take over my channel for a minute.
Well, you kind of took away my thunder, but okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I interrupt your plans for world domination?
I thought I was just going to take over.
Yeah, I hit leave studio instead of. There's 2 red buttons on your screen when you're on StreamYard. One of them.
Unlike other people, I don't get awkward when I get a big screen. I embrace it.
You like it, yeah.
I embrace it. Give me attention. Look at me. Hashtag look at me.
All right, guys. For real, we're gonna end it this time. I'm gonna hit the correct red button, and I'll catch you all later. Have a good night.